Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Pod Fruit, One Piece Through New Eyes. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Volume 15, titled Straight Ahead. Volume 15 covers chapters 127 through 136. I am the host, Michael, and with me, as always, we have our One Piece rookies, V and Dylan.
Hello.
Hi.
As a quick reminder, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Discord for all our latest announcements, information, and fun. On Twitter, we are PodFruit, Instagram, PodFruit, and our Discord is linked in the description.
Come see us.
We would also love it if you gave us a follow and a review. Let us know what you like or what you don't. We love feedback. Let's begin. My summary today is partially self-written. Lifted a couple pieces from some different publications, but
It's plagiarism.
Don't call me out. That's why I always put the disclaimer there.
Yeah, keep doing that.
Yeah, right. Soon after the action on Little Garden ends, giant Dory awakens from his injuries. Elsewhere on the island, Sanji receives a phone call from a mysterious entity, Mr. Zero, aka Crocodile. He also receives an eternal log post to Alabasta meant for Mr. 3. The Giants assist the Straw Hats to leave Little Garden as they continue their journey to Alabasta. It soon turns out Nami is sick. Now, the Merry Go is without her navigator. Luffy and the crew have but one choice, find land and hopefully a doctor. On the way, the Straw Hats are attacked by a group of pirates known as the Tin Pirates, led by Wapol. They miraculously stumble upon Drum Island, where it is eternally winter. But upon arriving, they find out the island is only one medical professional, and she's a witch! With Nami's life on the line, Luffy sets out through the snow-laden fields to find this doctor. And that is our summary of Volume 15. Volume 15 is going to start things off on Chapter 127 with Dylan. V started last week. Dylan will be this week.
Okay, I'll let you start, Dylan.
Hokey doke.
You're supposed to say milady. You don't have to.
Anyways.
Not to me. It's fine.
I gotta like the way it opens up. But he's crying. I forget their names. I think it's Dory who's crying. And the little rainbow with the fucking Brogy, that's it.
Dory's the one that died, which
dead.
we'll get into.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Brogy is the crying one.
But yeah, I like the top scene where it's just like the rainbow's there and the volcano's going off. It's nice. And then seeing like kind of...
I never noticed the rainbow.
I also kind of like seeing like kind of like the perspective of like the size of the raindrops compared to the rest of the crew. Because it's like, yeah, if you get one of these dropped on you, it's like somebody dropped a linebacker on you. It's like, that does not look fun.
Luke Kuechly coming straight up the middle on you.
Those fucking glazed over look because his brain's been rattled so much.
Football joke. You won't get it.
No, I won't. It's okay.
Kiku's the man. And then on page 4, just like the full page spread, I just love the way it's drawn when Dory's getting up and they're all like stereotypical like anime eyes bugging out of their head.
Yeah.
And like even on the smaller characters, it does it on the smaller characters too. I like that a lot. That was funny. And then again, we have my favorite upcoming trope is someone who's dead isn't dead. Yay! Who cares about the consequences of your actions? No one. Because
it gets worse before it gets better.
And then they explain it. It's like, oh, it's the weapons because we've been fighting with them for 100 years and don't maintain them. It's like, okay, well.
I still think it's a crock of shit, but that's okay.
Yeah, me too. Am I happy? Because I like the Giants, kind of, storytelling-wise. And immediately, then they're just bullshitting around and trying to fight again, yada, yada. But then, pretty much the important... Because you get that, and it's like, okay, big reunion, everybody's happy, da-da-da-da-da. And then we cut to freaking Sanji just sitting there, sitting in the house, previously enjoying tea. He talks to Mr. Zero. Mr. Zero's like, have you killed him? He's like, sure. I was like, no. It's like, well, I thought they were dead, and then they weren't. And then he gets super pissed. It's like, oh, so you lied. Now I'm going to have you killed. Which is, for me, is weird. Seeing that whole thing where it's like, it's like, why are you hesitating? You said you killed them. It's like, oh, I thought they were dead, but they weren't. But they are now. And it's like, all right, well, now I'm immediately going to have you killed for failing. It's like, damn, this Mr. Zero dude's kind of unhinged. And then it's fun watching Sanji kick the shit out of the...
What do you mean, fun? I have thoughts on that. It's okay.
It's funny. It's funny.
But he's cute.
Yeah, it's fun seeing little animals get their ass beat by grown men.
He's cute.
But
Dylan has very specific taste. Okay?
It's done in a very cutesy way.
It is.
Yeah, this is the part I was talking about where it's like, oh, turns out they were still alive. And it's like, what? Didn't you just tell me the mission was accomplished? Okay. false report. Go to Albasta, and then turns to this person. It's like, go kill him when he comes to Albasta. It's like, Jesus, dude. Get over yourself.
Even she says you're kind of ruthless.
Yeah.
More like schizo, dude. Like, fucking learn to control your emotions. And then we see Smoker again. I like that at the end of them hitting a Smoker on his little marine boat. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had. So pretty much, yeah, that chapter is pretty much like, oh, he's sad. Oh, he doesn't have to be sad.
I didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, B?
I had a lot. I'm gonna get into my emotions a little bit, guys, and they're not necessarily my good emotions. Okay, so just want to comment first thing on the intro image story. The Black Cat Pirates have left Django behind, and I guess we're kind of starting a new intro story arc with him now. And I have to say, I'm not mad at that, because I think he was a really good character.
I wonder if they brought the Meowbin brothers with them but left him behind. Like, huge mistake.
Right?
Like,
if you're gonna pick one of the two, if you're gonna pick either Django or the Meowband brothers, I feel like the choice should be fairly obvious.
Django seems like he would be a chill dude on a ship. I mean, he's not a great person.
He looks like
morally speaking.
He looks like a guy that would like take you on a like psychedelic mushroom trip and like,
but like not warn you about it beforehand. It's like, hey, dude, eat this. Oh shit! By the way, like, are you in a good mental health
and
space?
then you go on a fucking journey, and you're a changed person.
It's like, wait, you said you're not in a good mental health space? Wait, did you already eat that thing?
Psychedelics were thrust upon me?
All right, well, fuck it. You're in for a ride. Like, good luck.
Saddle up.
Why'd you eat strange shit, man?
Yeah, I'm a stranger.
This is all your fault.
Does your skin feel weird, bro?
Yeah,
you think you have bugs underneath your skin?
Yeah.
You probably have bugs underneath your skin. You best try to dig them out.
I see them moving, dude. Here's a spoon.
And it's rusty. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, kind of looking forward to seeing where Django lands with that new intro image story arc. I guess I never really gave much thought to how loud a crying giant would be and how much tears they could produce, but I feel like Oda did really well in kind of capturing all of that in the first couple of pages with, Dylan pointed it out, the rainbow and just the really loud onomatopoeia and like the ploosh, like it's actually like raining down tears. I thought that was clever, and like everyone kind of points out in their own way what's happening at the middle of page 3, and Luffy's like, look, a rainbow! And I thought that was really cute and so very typical of Luffy to point out. And then, okay, so like Dylan, I did really enjoy the 2-page spread with Dory casually sitting up, and then Brogy is like completely taken aback. We got the like googly anime eyes jutting out of his skull. As always, the expressions and the way that they're drawn are fantastic. That being said, I have a lot of thoughts about this whole thing. And I think most of my thoughts come from the fact that literally last episode, we were talking about how, and Dylan especially was mentioning how the best thing an author or a writer can do is to give their character a good death. And we were talking about how we didn't want deaths to be a cop-out, and we wanted them to be meaningful, and we wanted them to have an impact in the grander scheme and the grander scale.
During that conversation,
of the
I'm just
story.
sitting here like, oh, brother.
And I was listening back to it, and I was like, motherfucker. Like, really?
He was so certain that he was dead, I just couldn't be the one to... I do my best not to spoil anything. I know, and
you do a great
Literally
job.
anything.
You do a really good job. But like, and again, kind of echoing what Dylan said, I'm happy he's alive. He's a good character, but like, I don't know. It just makes it feel so cheap. And I feel like even the fact that they tried to explain it away with the weapons being worn down makes it even kind of worse for me. Like, it's kind of a cheap excuse.
Oh, so you think I'm stupid.
Right,
exactly.
Awesome. Exactly. Like, you bait me into thinking that a meaningful character is dying. You bait me into, like, mourning this character, and then you come up with some bullshit excuse as to why he's not actually dead? Fuck off with that. Kindly fuck off with that.
Like I said, it gets worse before it gets better, but take that for what you will.
Okay. I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'll be like, who is it? Who's the next one?
Oh, you guys don't even know. But I promise, after that one, we're good.
Okay, we'll see. But yeah, because we were talking about the meaning of a warrior's death, especially coming after centuries, right, of fighting and this whole thing about it being tied to honor and whatever, and it was so compelling when it happened last volume that now that he just stands up and you're like, what the what? What? Anyway, I was not a fan of that. I will say that so far has been one of the moments where I'm like, I roll. I actually rolled my eyes at this whole thing happening, and I'm hoping that it doesn't. I mean, you literally just said it gets worse before it gets better, so I'm bracing myself, but I don't know if that's maybe a result of like this being made for children or being made for young men and being made for people who maybe cannot grasp, or like for an audience for whom death and the finality of death might feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if it's trying to cater to the audience is what I'm saying, right? So I don't know what it's about, but I'm not a big fan of that.
I know that the author is not, he does not love killing off characters.
Well, brother, like you have
got
with guns and swords.
But you gotta commit, right? Yes,
right.
exactly. You gotta commit.
Yeah, it's called One Piece, not pacifist peace. So let's.
Yeah, because the one implies violence.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone knows that. But yeah, I
press 1 for violence.
I didn't care for that
every time.
And the funniest thing is that if you meet Dylan in person, he is so squishy and non-violent, guys. It's kind of adorable. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
I got
yes.
that dog in me.
Sure you do. But then, okay, this whole thing was kind of made better by, I was super excited to see Sanji in the Baroque Works hideout again as he's on the snailophone with Mr. Zero. And I have to say, as the resident male thirst master, the top of page 9, Sanji looks kind of delicious there. Like, the look on his face, the way that his hand is kind of just hanging from the armrest, he's relaxed. It exudes a little bit of that, like, big dick energy that I've been missing from him since we've been on the Baratier, right? It's like, this is Sanji. This is the way that I want to think of Sanji as. This is who I want him to be. And I was like, okay.
Moisturized,
yeah,
he's in his element.
Oh yeah, he's in his lane. Yeah. It's a meme, Dylan. But yeah, I think Zoro will always have my heart, but there are a few moments in this volume that I was like, okay, Sanji, I see you. I'm noticing. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay, and I had a question for you guys with regards to the snailophones, and this is maybe more for Michael.
Okay.
Does the voice on the other end of the line come out of the snail's mouth? Is the snail talking as the voice is coming from the other end? Okay.
I don't believe so. So I am not an anime watcher.
Okay.
I have seen up to episode 400 or 500 somewhere in there, and I don't remember. It's been a while.
Okay.
Long story short, it's been a while since I've seen a snailophone used in the anime.
Because I was curious about that, just because I was thinking it would be so funny for just someone's voice to come out of the moving snail's mouth. I don't know, that's kind of how I was picturing it in my head, and I was wondering if that was the case. And then the Unluckies come back, they witness Sanji's charade, they're gonna do something about it, and like, okay, I don't know if I'm biased because he's an otter, but I feel like Sanji's kick right in Mr. 13's face feels a little bit too much. Especially when he calls him he calls him a four-eyed monkey. I was like, don't.
He doesn't know what fucking animal that is. He sees a mammal, it's a monkey.
But he's a cute little otter guy.
Dylan, back me up. Those guys show up, hands immediately.
No, they're
I'm
too
like, oh,
cute.
you're cute. Then he pulls out a bladed weapon. I was like, all right, motherfucker, you want the heat? You're gonna get the heat.
He's a cute little guy, and he's wearing little sunglasses, and he has a little hat on.
And a knife that he's trying to actively stab me with.
But he's cute. Would you hit me if I showed up with a knife?
No, I wouldn't hit you. I'd shoot your ass. It's It's like,
So
I'm
if
gonna
it was
stab
you,
you. It's
I'd
like,
ask
oh,
a couple
bang.
questions.
It's like, you good? And they're like,
I'd say, first of all, what are you doing with that knife?
I've told you about running with scissors, V. You need to calm down.
I can't help it. I just want to run with scissors.
Who gave you Mountain
It's the
Dew after
thrill.
2 p.m.? That's the rule.
Oh, they hate me, guys. They really do.
She can only have Mountain Dew with breakfast.
Yeah, otherwise,
A nice
she's just,
breakfast Mountain Dew.
otherwise it's too wired.
I just sugar high. Yeah, it's not even funny.
Listen, if you have Mountain Dew with breakfast, you're getting diabetes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If that's
You guys put milk in your cereal. I put good old Mountain Dew in my cornflakes.
So someone in the audience is going to feel so called out, and to you I say, please go see your doctor.
Yeah.
With love. Okay, back to the story. I'm just trying to spot the image. Yeah, so bottom of page 17, for some reason I really liked seeing Miss All Sunday petting the huge crocodile. She's so tiny.
oh,
She's so tiny,
crocodile.
and he's just so big. And I just thought that was funny. She's just like petting his snout, and I'm like, oh, maybe I would pet him too if he, wasn't capable of swallowing me in one fell swoop. Yeah, and then, that's pretty much it. This chapter ends with a lot of open ends, with the unluckies being KO'd, Sanji finds the Eternal Pose, and Captain Smoker's ship is on the water. And that is exciting. And I think, overall, I thought that was a good way to kind of kick off this volume. I had, Michael?
the first thing you gotta get over is the giant death.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna criticize you for not liking
Yet
the
another
deaths.
fake out death.
Yeah. Again, it gets better it gets worse before it gets better. And then once it gets better, we're in peak One Piece. So hang with me here. I promise. So I thought, let me go ahead and put out a quick defense for the giant with a minor criticism in there, just because I feel like I have to almost. Okay, so the dull weapons and all of that, like, they would definitely injure him more, but it wouldn't get through as deeply. Dylan may be able to refute me on this, but that, at least while it sounds longer term death, it's not more immediate death, right, Dylan? Like a less clean blade is not going to get as deep. It's going to cause more damage, but it's not going to hit those.
It's one of those things where it's using an axe. An axe kind of is like one of those weird hybrids where it's like, yeah, it can slice, but what it really does is crunch a lot of shit too. But no, you're kind of right. Like the thing is, they're not wearing armor. If it was a dulled blade and it was wearing armor too, it's like, yeah, it'd have a much harder time getting purchase. But it's just, for me, it's where he got cut, like right at the collarbone, and it looked like it was deep, and like right in there's some vital shit to where you would probably bleed out. But no, you're right. Like, yeah, it would definitely crunch some bones and probably wouldn't be able to cut as deep.
Right. And, that's really all I have for the defense. Like, at least the explanation makes some semblance of sense. However, everyone is reacting the same way you guys did. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Everyone thinks he's dead. The people in the damn fictional story think he's dead. But why not just play it off like, oh, he has a pulse. He's a giant. His pulse can be detected from a fucking football field away using American units of measurement.
As you would.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be played off as a death. I would not mind it if they're like, oh, he's hurt. He's super injured.
That's exactly it.
He's this,
Or like, oh,
that,
he's
or the
going to
other.
die if we don't help him.
He didn't need to die. Yeah, he didn't. They didn't need to make us believe that he was dead, and that's what they did. There was this sense of finality at the end of the previous volume.
Yes,
and for them to just switch it up on us felt like what?
Yeah.
Not to use Survivor terms, but we were blindsided a little bit.
Oh God. That's my doing. I love it.
It is.
All right. I'm going to just jump right to the next scene. I don't have anything more to say on the Giants. I actually loved this scene. I loved Sanji on the line with Mr. Zero, a.k.a. Crocodile. Crocodile is looking straight up gangster. And I personally have a very special place in my heart for gangster media.
Okay.
Godfather, Part 1, one of my favorite movies. Goodfellas, one of my favorite movies. there are other gangster movies that I really love, and he is absolutely exuding that fucking gangland energy. Yeah. He's got the it looks like a fur coat.
Yeah.
Mobster.
So you're saying gangster. Right. Mobster is a little more specific.
Yeah.
Like crime families and shit like
mafioso.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got the jewelry. He's in a palace of sorts, as you may have seen from the little panels where he's featured. He's holding what appears to be a giant crocodile, which I can only hope is an exotic pet. If that's common...
Has he got the permits for that?
Keep me away. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you make that point, because thinking about it, it's like some of the shit we've seen from the Navy, how some like the higher Navy officers, how their dresses does lean that way as well. Like the big over trench coats, or big overcoats with the fedoras.
Yeah. I mean, I would still say this feels distinct from that. Like, maybe that in the sense that, like, some more rogue militaries may have a bit more gangster vibe to them. He's stirring a drink with a rose, and the rose, like, dies in his hand or something. And he, like, snaps it. I don't know. He clearly has anger problems. And I loved every frame we got to saw. Like, we kind of see him, you know? But they're clearly keeping that card close to the chest in this, and I like that. I'm again, it feels very mafia to me, and I'm a sucker for it. And the big crocodile with a banana on its head. No one mentioned the banana on its head, but it has a banana on its head. And then I think Sanji handled the situation as well as he could have. I mean, he's improvising here, so I thought that scene carried it. And then of course, Smoker showing up. Like, maybe you saw it coming just because he was in the last and he talked about chasing them. But I think it adds an interesting facet. It's another faction, but not one that kind of comes out of nowhere. It was set up in a good place, and here we are. You know, it's been, 25 some chapters since we saw him last. And yeah, it's not out of place, and I like it. I think it really kind of stirs things up a little bit.
Yeah, and I feel like just the way they introduced him previously, I knew that he was going to come back. And I'm just seeing that made me excited for it.
Yeah. But just to kind of sum up, I literally wrote, I know we're going to hear it from the rookies, but let me try to defend this giant's death. And you guys heard my defense. He was already injured as well. I put that down, but I didn't mention it before. But he did have things, but again, that kind of lends itself more to death than injury. But nonetheless,
yeah,
I stand by it not being great. I'm with you. It creates false tension. That's tension that does not resolve in a way that feels good. I am extremely on board with the Sanji scene. I felt like that, like in this chapter, we had two extremes. We had really bad tension building, and then I feel like the crocodile stuff is really trickled on and does create tension. It does create danger, personally. I'm curious, do you guys feel the same way with that particular character? Do you feel he is being teased well?
I think he's being teased well. I guess this is a little bit of a result of what I was talking about. I don't know if it was last episode or the one before, but Baroque Works is so big as an organization that I'm losing sight of the meaning of each character as they're being introduced. And in some ways, it's building up to Mr. Zero being the big boss, right? But in the other sense, it's like, okay, well, I've seen so many Baroque Works people at this point already. What's one more? You know? So I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm looking forward to more of that. I'm looking forward to see it come full circle, if that makes sense. But I'm excited, but I'm not, like, on the edge of my seat. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay, Dylan?
Well, I'm just, to be honest, I'm more excited to see Captain Smoker again than I care for the crocodile guy.
All right. I can live with that sentiment.
We got a Captain Smoker fanboy on our hands.
Oh, listen, Dylan's going to love the Navy guys. There's more of them. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but you're going to see the Navy a little bit more. And there's some excellent characters, but right on. Okay. And yeah, I think Smoker mixes things up. Overall, an enjoyable chapter. It did a good job kind of picking up where we left off. Even though there was a big letdown, I'm here for the Sanji Mr. Zero scene. So yeah, that's what I had for 127. Dylan, V.
It's
128.
Yeah. So, just picking up basically where we left off, I'm happy that we're going to get some more Captain Smoker action. Tashigi is along for the ride, and kind of to what I was saying a little earlier when Michael was speaking, I'm not surprised that we're getting reintroduced to Captain Smoker and having him come back, because Oda did a really good job of properly introducing the characters back in Logtown, and it was only natural that this would happen and that we would see more of them, and I was like, oh yay! And also, like I said, to me, Smoker's kind of hot. I'm here for it. Let's go. Let's go.
It's never been explained, but I don't know if this affects, but his hair is like white. It looks good.
Silver Fox, as far as I'm concerned. Really, really good intro image. Over pages, intro image. It starts a little bit after the quote-unquote introduction of the chapter, but over pages 2 and 3... I love how detailed I think they're pterodactyls.
They must be.
Yes, I love how detailed the pterodactyls are. Also, I had a little bit of a chuckle at seeing that Sanji is the only one that looks like he's having a miserable time. Everyone else looks like they're enjoying themselves. Even
I like Sanji's fit, though. He looks like he's about to go spray paint some shit in the dead of night.
I know. He looks good. But, even Karoo looks like he's down with it.
Well, yeah, I see him sitting on the shoulder.
Where's Karoo?
He's behind the wing.
On the second pterodactyl behind the wing.
Blink and you miss it.
Even he's looking like he's having a good time. Meanwhile, Sanji's just holding on for dear life, and I thought that was funny. And
he's got a cigarette in his mouth, of course.
Yeah, of course, as one would.
It's an emotional support cigarette.
I feel like that's how most smokers feel about their cigarettes. I don't know, I'm not a smoker. I just want to point out, I think the little head tilt at the bottom of page 4, like Sanji and Usopp, their cute little head tilt was adorable. It doesn't mean anything, it's just cute.
It's a frame from later, actually. I'll see if you can point it out.
I probably won't. I know myself. Yeah, so Captain Smoker tricking Mr. 11 with that big brain strategy on page 6. To me, that was a good example that violence isn't always the way to go. Although, I will say, I would be equally as happy to see Captain Smoker kicking some ass, to be honest. Everything about Captain Smoker exudes badass, and that's one of the reasons why I like him as a character.
But he's smart,
But he's smart, too! And I like that. I like a man that is both brain and brawn. I like it. Maybe that's too much to ask, but I like it. Okay, guys.
I feel sexist.
Maybe it is. We have to talk about Nami and a bra. And I have some good things to say about that and some bad things to say about that. I'll preface this by saying that I appreciate, as a fully bisexual person, I appreciate a good lingerie scene. And I appreciate Nami as a person and as an anime waifu. I get it. That being said, the boys, except Zoro, definitely come across as immature, which I suppose isn't surprising. I feel like canonically they're pretty young. Like, they're still, they're young adults, I think, 18, 19, right? Like, they're not... They've probably haven't... Have they gotten laid before, is what I'm wondering. Zoro absolutely has, and you can tell by the way that he's reacting to seeing Nami in her underwear.
Never has.
But for the others, I don't know.
Usopp probably hasn't. I would assume Sanji has...
I think Sanji might have, but he
may have scared him away before he got close.
I was about to seal the deal and then said some weird shit. And they're like,
some weird shit.
Started sniffing hair.
I love you. Wait, what?
I love you. He would say.
Puts clothes back on. It's like, all right, I'm out of here.
But yeah, it's just
this isn't happening.
I just thought it was kind of funny to see everyone's reaction to Nami being in her underwear, and I was like, okay, so very typical. But again, I can't be mad at it, because titties are great. Everyone likes tits. It's fine. bottom of page 11, just talking about purely the artistic choices here, with everyone's face of like realization and surprise as Sanji shares that he has an eternal pose. That was funny. Also, let's hope that Luffy doesn't destroy that one, because he's been in a habit of destroying log poses and whatnot, so hopefully this one's going to stay intact.
They're his enemy.
Yes.
Anything that brings order to the world, Luffy is
he just fundamentally has a problem with it and wants to get rid of it as fast as he can. He's like, I cannot stand the concept of order.
Yeah.
Page 16. Mine's bigger, we'll see. Basically, it's a big dick contest between Sanji and Zoro. Okay, that's what's happening in this latter half of this chapter. For the record, I'm sure Sanji is well endowed, but in my headcanon, Zoro actually wields 4 swords, if you know what I mean.
It's like the bigger the truck, the smaller the wiener, so...
Well, that's the thing, is Zoro is just confident and doesn't need to prove himself most of the time.
He carries the 3 swords. But he might as well drive a big old fucking truck.
He's got truck nuts and all his sword blades.
Anyway. That's what I choose to believe, and that's what I will continue to believe unless proven otherwise.
You may continue with your...
There's
yes.
Reddit for that one.
There's
God.
fanfic. I'm sure there's everything. No, yeah, so that was at page 14 when they say, just wait, mine's definitely bigger, we'll see. That's the interaction that was going on. Yeah, I enjoyed the seemingly quiet and thoughtful conversation between Dory and Brogy at page 15, especially as they're picking up their weapons. It feels like solemn, it feels almost kind of peaceful, and like I guess they're just accepting reality as it is, and maybe, to me, it serves a purpose of just wrapping up the previous chapter and the previous volume's events, that this is kind of the end of it, and it makes it feel not quite as, I don't know, gratuitous or cheap as I was feeling earlier. I still don't like it. I still don't like the way that things unfolded, but this conversation made it a little bit less annoying, if I want to say that. I do like seeing this more competitive side of Zoro within the context of the hunting challenge, because to me, so far, he's one of the more level-headed members of the Straw Hats. To me, the most level-headed are Zoro and Nami.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of like seeing that little bit of rivalry that kind of like gets him going, that excites him, and that gives him a little bit of motivation. So I appreciate seeing that in the context of the story. I have a couple of visual highlights over the next few pages as we're reaching the end of this chapter. I love the richness of the jungle that comes across really well at the top of page 17. Michael was talking about how he likes a good jungle scene. I get it. It's super intricately drawn. It's immersive. Love that. Also, at the top of page 18, and this is a nerdy reference that maybe not everyone's going to get, but I'm sure you guys are going to get.
Going.
I'm getting Gates of Argonath. Yeah. From Brogy and Dory. And for reference to anyone who doesn't know, the Gates of Argonath are the 2 very large statues.
I got the same vibe.
Yeah. The statues of the Kings of Gondor that stand on either side of the River Anduin in The Lord of the Rings. More specifically, the image that people will see is in the Fellowship of the Ring, towards the end of the Fellowship of the Ring movie. That's what it is. That's what it gives off.
It's an iconic image.
It truly is. And the movie did a great job at representing that with... It feels grand. It feels imposing. It feels important. And I feel like that scene captured that really well with the 2 giants. And then, yeah, we end the chapter on a fantastic shot. Like, the 2-page spread of page 20 and 21.
Oh, shit, look at Dylan. He's got the statue.
Oh, he does.
They've got the bookends. Yeah, they're bookends.
I love that. That's exactly...
I'm going to spend money on those.
Yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind when I saw that in this chapter. And
it's crazy that you knew the exact names of those statues. Y'all are bigger Lord of the Rings nerds than me, so I find that impressive.
Well, I didn't know the names, but I knew what she was talking about. I saw their backs. I was like, oh, she's talking about the Gondor statues.
Yeah. Gates of Argonath. But yeah. And yeah, we end the chapter on a fantastic shot of both giants getting ready to strike as a large unknown shape begins to emerge from the water. And I like how well, we find out it's a fish, but how it's not quite breaking the tension of the water. Like, it's still covered by the water, but it's staring right at its prey.
It's a good little artistic flourish.
I thought that was really nice. And for some reason, I also really liked seeing the stark difference between the blackness of Brogy and Dory's capes and the rest of it that's drawn with a lot more nuance and grayscale. Again, interesting artistic choice. And, like I said, I'm still mad that we got to fake out death, but in the end, they're two good characters, and I'm not, I'm not.
It's not the worst fake out death.
I'm not gonna die on this. I'm not gonna die on this hill. I'm still unhappy about it, but I'm not gonna die on it. So, and I feel like I said, this chapter kind of sorta redeems the events of the previous one. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I had for 128. Dylan?
Yeah, I kind of like getting the snippet of Captain Smoke and his crew and Tashigi, or just like Tashigi in general, just like sitting off by herself in like a corner, just like, oh, this sword it's so easy to find great swords on your Grand Line.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's like, oh god, boss is calling me. It's like, I think I've made this like reference before, but it's like, like everyone probably knew the one guy was like, yeah, I got like 15 knives on me at like all times. It's like kind of getting that
a couple
vibe.
of them, I think.
Yeah. So you thought that was a belt buckle? No, knife. It's like, oh god, dude.
All the knives they had were curved, too.
It's like, why? It's like, because it looks badass. Dude. It's like, bro. It's like, it's not.
It's not a thrift store or a pawn shop or a gas station. There was no other options.
I like to call those places the dojo.
The dojo.
Oh, but it's kind of cool seeing I like the transponder snail, where it's kind of like a listening device. It's a cool little
special
thing.
one, a black one.
Yeah. But it's cool to see. It's like, all right, that's fun. And then how he just like oldest trick in the book to Mr. 11. It's like, what about those orders you found in your pocket? He's like, I thought I burned those. He's like, ha, stupid. You didn't have anything in your pockets. It's like, now we know you work for an organization and you live in a society. But and then to what you mentioned, V, with the whole Nami and undergarments, just like
garments,
because like you don't you don't see anybody like kind of like oogling over, except for Sanji. But there's the one scene where like Vivi's having a moment to herself, but like, oh my god, yeah, they are my friends.
Yeah.
But like the whole "Hey Nami, dance for us," and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, did she?
That's your navigator.
Yeah, well, the thing is that they said that, and like,
show some respect.
Everything I read from it, it's just like, did she dance? Like in my head, it's like she danced. Why would she do that?
Yeah,
because the way it's written out, it makes it seem like she did dance for them. And it's just like, what the fuck?
She doesn't seem like the type that dances on command.
Yeah, it's like, so that whole dialogue part just kind of really confused. I think it would have been better to have kind of focused on Vivi, but seeing the rest of them interact in the background and just have it clear. It's like, no, someone told her to dance, and then someone knocked the shit out of, she knocked the shit out of somebody for telling them to dance.
It does seem a little unfocused, or the wrong focus. I will agree with you.
Because it's just like, all that's playing out in the background. It's just like, what the fuck? But yeah, so that was weird. And Sanji coming back, the way he goes, like, the top of page 10, it's like, yeah, that's Sanji. It's just like floating around like, like cigarette smoke, his hearts. It's like, God, dude, I want to like you, man. You're making it really fucking hard. It's been so long since you ended a monologue with your foot. Kind of fun. And I love the reaction. Again, stereotypical anime reaction when he pulls out the eternal log, jaws on the floor. I mean, it's just, a lot of it just seems like, kind of like explaining the scenario. It's like, hey, I talked to Mr. 3, we gotta go to Alabasta. But I do like the Giants' interactions when they kind of walk off, and it kind of adds a lot of weight. It's like the sword and axe has been my partner for like the past 100 years, because it's a part of them.
Yeah, I did like that part. And
it leads a lot of
100 years will do a number on I almost said firearm, a weapon.
Yeah, and then the last line of if it's to help those people, it's well worth it. That was really powerful. I like that a lot. And also, when they mentioned the hunting challenge, we don't see it yet, but I like the whole because going back and rereading a little bit, I like when they're talking about, like, oh yeah, hunting challenge. And then Dorian Berger kind of like, hunting challenge? Why does it sound familiar?
I didn't put 2 and 2 together, actually.
It wasn't until late.
Now looking ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't too...
No, right. But even the moment, I was like, okay.
Well, yeah, I was
I
like,
don't know what they're talking about. I thought they were talking about,
like,
maybe that's their new fucking competition.
Yeah.
They're going to start hunting these small fucking creatures on the island. But no, wait.
Yeah, coming back through it, it's like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Which also leans into, like, when Sanji and Zoro are arguing, the way it's laid out, it's like also like, oh, okay, shit. That's what that was. Okay, that's cool. I like the interactions. Everybody interacts the way they think. It's like, well, which one's bigger? It's like, I don't give a shit. Let's leave. Like,
Get the meat.
Yeah, get the
in
meat
the fucking
in the
boat.
More meat will sink. More meat.
I like how I think someone says, can't you call it a draw? And they're like, you can't say that it's a draw.
There are no draws in a challenge.
I know. I thought that was funny.
That's like, brother.
Actually.
The thing is... And then again, like the final tidbits. The way the scenery's done with the giants at the very end of this chapter is really, really good. Seeing the merry-go come up the channel, definitely, yeah, very, very Lord of the Rings.
Argonath, apparently.
Yeah, and I just like the line, you risked your lives to defend our honor. Now, no matter what, we will allow no enemy to trample on our friend's pride. And that was big. I like that. And like you mentioned, with it's like the monster, like you see the eyes of it, it's like, it's a really kaiju movie kind of shit,
Yeah.
like Godzilla-esque shit.
That's
and it's
true.
like, okay. So yeah, I like the way that ends. But that's really all I got. Also, I like the fact that he did another, like, one of his intro pages. He just left all the color out of it to let other people color it.
Yeah.
It's fun that he did. Like, it's kind of fun seeing him do shit like this for his fans. Like when he did like
when this
the
came
planner.
out, it would have been a challenge to get a copy, or at least in the U.S. where I grew up, you'd have to go to a place with a copy of you'd have to copy it and then print it. I don't know. It just seems like a lot for a early 2000s.
Well, you gotta
coloring
think.
page.
We gotta think, like, because I'm thinking, like, being sold in Japan, it's like you buy a copy and then you color it in your book because it's your book.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't even think.
But like
about
what you
that.
said, like in the United States, it's a little harder to get until it got popularity.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, even still, I didn't even think about the possibility of having it as a physical copy and just doing it to your book. I'm sitting here like, no, you got to preserve this.
Yeah, this is history. It's gonna be worth millions one day.
It belongs in a museum.
But like the fact that he did like the planner, someone mentioned like in the SBS, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'd love that planner if One Piece themed. And then he did it, and it's like, dude, that's wholesome. Stop doing the fake out deaths. Do more of that.
Right?
All right, but that's all I got. Michael?
Yeah, so another quick one for me. Again, I think that Smoker being introduced here is the perfect time to bring him back in. It does add another facet to this that is welcome. I do want to point out that Smoker says Desert Nation of Alabasta. It's the first kind of hint of what's, ahead, a desert nation. And yeah, I like desert terrain. I've always been a desert guy. I've never been to a desert, but I like
I
it.
don't like hot. Fuck that.
But you're also like a jungle
It's a dry
guy?
heat.
Right?
Jungles and deserts. Those are my two terrains.
Okay.
We'll get to this, but wintry, snowy, not my favorite terrain.
I like it. We're going to get to it. I like it.
I bet you do. The Great White North, huh?
Yeah.
Nami looking good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had to say
Nami,
about that.
more like mommy, am I right?
Mama.
How many times have you made that joke?
I mean, how many times do you guys say dynamic? All right?
How many times?
Get off my shit.
Dylan, let's team up on V real
No!
quick. How many times? Okay. She can't handle it. I'll stop. She can't take that kind of pressure.
I'm just a little baby.
Can't take that heat.
The rushing water was a really cool, I use this word, or this phrase, artistic flourish. I thought it was really well done. Other than that, I don't have a ton to say on this chapter. I'm glad that the ending of Alabasta wasn't drawn out. Like, I feel like we're leaving,
Yeah.
and that's good. We need to just go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to just move on. The good, I thought that, the perspective of the giants and all that was good. I love the Zoro and Sanji bits. Little sibling rivalry there,
Yeah.
and I loved Return to Smoker. Other than that, I didn't have a ton to really call out as, like, great, but I didn't have a ton to nag on. I feel like all the nagging that I had happened in the previous chapter. And then, yeah, that's it. 129 will be Dylan?
I like the intro where it's just Django's just eating in a restaurant, Onion pops in. He's like, oh god, it's him. And then like the 3/4 page reveal of the goldfish monster, and the fact that it's a goldfish monster, I just love.
With teeth?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Those are not carnivore teeth.
No, it's like
Omnivore teeth? They kind of look human.
They're very human teeth.
I hate it.
Sheep's head have human teeth, but that's because they'll go up to pylons and bite barnacles off of it and eat the barnacles. That's why they have those teeth.
Oh, okay.
Still weird, yeah. I'm trying to take a hook out of a fish's mouth and it has teeth. It's like, oh, fuck, ugh. I'm just going to kill this thing and move on.
Throws it back.
Right?
Apparently it's super good eating. Little inaccuracy here, Oda. Nami yells up, Usopp, turn the wheel. It's not a wheel, it's a whipstaff.
Oh, Mr. Do you want to tell your whipstaff story?
Well, no, where I'm at, there is a kind of like recreation, like reenactment park / museum. And Sir Walter Raleigh, there's a scale replica of the ship, the Elizabeth II, that he sent over to form the colony. I went around there, looked in there. It was really interesting to see that it was steered with a whipstaff. Looking at it, it kind of looks a lot like the Merry Go, so it's probably a caravel as well. And it might just be a caravel, which is steered with whipstaffs. Because apparently, did a little of the trivia in there. It's just done with the whipstaff because the technology for using a wheel to steer a ship was not yet invented at the time.
Interesting.
It was very informative. Well worth the entry price. But Usopp's got some balls, and he's kind of like, no, I can't. He's like, we got to sail straight right ahead. Like, right, Luffy? Luffy's like, yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Everyone's kind of freaking out. I love how, like, Zoro, of course, is just being like, alright, I'm Zolo. Nami, resign yourself. And she's kind of crying, eating the rice cracker. And I love that Karoo is, like, running to go hide in the galley. You see him going through the door. They swing hard enough to create a sonic boom, I guess, is the only way I can think of it. But the Hakoku's sovereignty.
I had questions about that, too.
With little two-page spread on that one. That's cool. I like the art of that. That's a really nice two-page panel. But the move itself is kind of weird. But I'm guessing, yeah, it's just they generate enough force that it creates a sonic boom.
To tear a hole through a giant fish.
Well, because you can kind of see, like, even after they've done the swing, and it's showing, like, the neck of the monster, you see, like, kind of a little bit of disturbance on the water with the piff. So, yeah, sonic boom attack. That was neat. And just them using ships to be airborne seems to be kind of like their thing. It's like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a ship like fully airborne flying through the air.
Yeah, it's been a couple times at least.
And then we cut back to them with their busted weapons. They're laughing, having a good time. And then it kind of shows what I was talking about earlier. They're like, oh, they had a hunting challenge. And that's what they were fighting over, is like who had the bigger hunt. And that's why their houses were bones of giant animals. And the way they're laid out is like exactly how Sanji and Zolo had them laid out. Which I like that. Luffy and Usopp seem to get along. They're kind of similarly minded, it seems like. Whereas Zolo and Luffy are kind of like, I wouldn't say as similarly minded.
Sharing a brain cell?
Yeah. For Luffy and Usopp, yes, definitely sharing the one brain cell. Whereas like,
I was saying Luffy and Zoro are sharing a brain cell. And maybe Luffy and Usopp are sharing a completely different brain cell. Like they each touch on a different part of Luffy's psyche, almost.
Well, it's just the goofiness, like, because Zolo doesn't really play the goofiness as much, but when it comes down to fighting, it's like it's on the same wavelength. Whereas Usopp's not a big fighter, but the goofy shit, like, is right in line with Luffy.
Yeah.
Luffy needs someone to goof around
with. Yeah. And then they're sitting there.
Getting it from Zoro or Sanji.
And then Nami seems to be a little under the weather. It's like, hey, check this out. The log post. I'm still lightheaded from our adventures. She's kind of like, Vivi kind of goes into a little dialogue. It's like, oh, like, I have to survive. I have to survive. And then Sanji comes in. It's like, you have me. And then he serves up Petit Four. Mm-hmm. Don't know what that is. I don't really get a good look at it. But apparently it looks delicious because everybody's kind of drooling over it. So
a Petit Four is kind of like a bite-sized appetizer. Like a little, just a tiny, small, like, I don't know how to explain it, really. It's just an
Have you had a Petit Four?
I have had a Petit Four before. I've had many Petit Four.
Is it sweet, savory? Because he offers it with coffee and tea. So I'm just kind of trying to...
It can be either. Yeah, so if you're going savory, you would probably call it un canapé, as opposed to a Petit Four, whereas Petit Four is usually sweet, but it's meant to be like a small bite-sized hit of sweetness.
Okay.
Like hors d'oeuvre?
Yes, but for dessert. Like the opposite.
Oh. Oh.
And I love the panel, like, top right of 19, or Usopp, freaking Luffy. You're like, oh, God. I want some. Sanji's immediately like, yours in the kitchen. It just gives me, like, big brother, little brother vibes, the way they go running for it. It's like, Mom said pizza rolls are in the kitchen. And they're climbing over everything to get to it.
The last time I had pizza rolls was with you guys.
Man, pizza rolls are fucking dope, dude. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
In Charleston.
Have some more pizza rolls, V. You deserve
Live
it.
I should.
Live
Thanks.
a little.
And then,
Slides V pizza rolls across the table. Here you go, kid.
and then we see Sanji training, which just kind of explains...
Zoro?
Yeah, I'm fucking dyslexic today with faces. But yeah, we see Zolo training, and it kind of explains some of his power and stuff. The fact that he's apparently swinging around face when I see 500 kilograms on a stick, kind of looking back on the fight, and I was like, if I was able to just destroy that, it was strong in steel. I need to be strong enough to be able to shatter steel.
Yeah.
So I get it. And then, okay, and then we get introduced to Mr. 2, Bon Clay, whatever that. Okay. And I don't know, it's just I guess you only really get to see him from the back, and it's just like, not looking forward to dealing with him. Like, he's going to be obnoxious. Like, Mr. 3 monologue, this dude's just going to be fucking garish and tacky as fuck the whole time based on just that shot, and I'm not looking forward to it. It's like, oh, God. I'm supposed to be like, I'm so glorious, look at my glory, look how, like a swan. And it's like, oh, fucking dude, just, like...
We only just met him, Dylan.
And then,
give him a chance.
And then it cuts back to our homeboys, and then Nami collapses because she's burning up with a fever. Which in the middle of the ocean, that's not good.
No.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that one.
So starting off with the intro image story, the look on Onion's face when he sees Django just chowing down, to me, was priceless. And, like, I can't help but think, like, poor kid probably has unresolved trauma about... about everything.
He hasn't had time to internalize what just happened.
Exactly. It's not been that long, I feel like, since, the events of what happened in, I think that was Syrup Village, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Since the events. Anyway, poor guy. My first reaction about, sorry, there's a fruit fly and it's driving me up the wall. Okay. Anyway, that's a big fish. That was my notes for pages 2 and 3. Yeah, and I was just thinking maybe that's the creature that Sanji and Zoro should be fighting about and trying to hunt down for their contest, or fish down, rather. Top of page 5, I think Luffy is who says, I know, don't panic, here, have the last rice cracker. And for some reason that made me laugh. Like, it's kind of wholesome that in the face of danger, as you're just about to be swallowed whole by a huge fucking fish, all you can think of is, don't panic, have a rice cracker. And I gotta say, as someone who is very food motivated, I know I always feel better when I have a little snacky snack. So, like...
I don't know, there's certain times where a snack is better than others.
Is there ever a bad time for a snack? There are better...
This time.
There are better times for snacks, but bad times? I don't know. So, yeah, someone... And I think Dylan did a pretty good attempt at explaining it. But when I was looking at the next, like, sequence of events, I was thinking someone is going to have to explain to me what happens to get the ship out. Like, the way I see it, Dory and Brogy strike the water and the impact of the reverberation pierces a hole through the fish. Right? I think that's what we landed on with Dylan's analysis.
I had a hard time with that.
Yeah,
it was weird.
I spent a solid 5 minutes going in between those 2 pages trying to decipher everything that was going on, and I was like, I don't know, man. It's time that I need to finish reading this chapter, but I got stuck on this a little bit. I guess the sonic boom makes sense, but I was still a little bit confused. Could have been more clear. I did appreciate the little bit of backstory about how the big structures on the islands were actually the dried remains of creatures that the giants had hunted down years ago. And that's kind of how the rivalry between Dory and Brogy started. And similarly, it echoes the rivalry between Sanji and Zoro, as Dylan pointed out, about both of them also being in some sort of hunting contest. And so in retrospect, I don't know whether or not that's due to her feeling unwell, but I noted that I liked the way Nami's face was drawn at the top of page 17. I feel like it's not often that we see her smiling so sincerely and so genuinely. And to me, this is a little bit of a sign of Vivi encouraging that. Like, I feel like she wouldn't act like that if it was just the boys. Mm-hmm. But having another woman on the ship, I think maybe brings up a little bit more of her softer side, and I appreciate seeing that. And then, yeah, like I said, later we do find out that she's ill, and I'm not sure that that's related, but
I think there's a piece to that. I think you can still draw a thread.
Yeah, like maybe she's tired, right? Like she's ready for this to be over, is kind of how this comes across, but maybe that's due to her feeling unwell. But I still thought that was noteworthy because, yeah, it's not something we've seen her do very, very often.
I haven't seen a lot of women anything energy besides Nami.
That's true.
She hasn't had that energy yet.
Yeah. And like I said, and I think I spoke about it last episode, but like, as someone whose friends are mostly males, sometimes it is nice to be able to talk to another girl and be like, you get it. You get it.
Yes.
Okay, Dylan.
Queen! That's all women say to each other. Queen!
Yeah,
Queen!
I mean, we do a lot of that.
They're like Pokemon when they're together.
Hyping each other up.
Woman.
I had to point out, am I just extra horny? Or are both Sanji and Zoro particularly hot lately? Like, and that also happened in one of the previous chapters in this volume. But Sanji's kind of
a little bit of column B.
He's having a little bit of a glow up this volume, and seeing Sanji in his element, he's confident. He's smiling again with the cigarette at the corner of his mouth. A thumbs up, like at that shot at the bottom of page 18 is kind of delightful.
No, we're getting him at who he is. We have not seen him for so long, really.
I like that. Like I want the viewers to know, because we have had comments about how hard we're shitting on Sanji, which we are. That's our quote unquote.
Don't take it back.
Now,
no,
yeah. I'm not taking it back. I'm absolutely not taking it back. But he certainly has his moments, and those are the moments where I love Sanji. And I hope to just see more of those, really.
I think you will.
Good. And then, I mean, I don't have to say anything about the shot of Zoro counting his workout reps, you know.
Even I was fanning myself a little.
He's, like, his arms are tense, his body is drenched in sweat. I'll just tuck that away in my mind until I need it for reasons.
Jacking off.
Spank bank! Anyway, he's hot. What else is new? But honestly, regardless of how gorgeous he is, which he is, I do admire his resolve. I feel like it's very mature of him to learn from his experience with the candelabra. He is aware that this was a close call, and he's going to do what he can to prevent this from happening again. And this isn't the first time he's got grit. And I've pointed it out before when talking about Zoro, he's self-aware, and I love that. That's super sexy to me, like in a man in general, but just, I don't know, I feel like he's just a very solid character regardless of what he looks like. And then, yeah, so we are getting a glimpse of a new Baroque Works member, and they look rather flamboyant. Dylan has thoughts. Which he's expressed. It's just, if you guys saw his face right now on the webcam, you would know what I'm talking about. He's just shaking his head. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to finding out more, but this character is coming across already as super exuberant and annoying.
Yeah, it's like after dealing with Mr. 3 and like Mr. 2 is supposed to Mr. T. That'd be fucking hilarious. It's like, I'm locked in. Let's go.
Call me Mr. 2.
Fucking, yeah. It's just after seeing Mr. 3 and how annoying his antics are, and then seeing that character design, it's just like, he's the next step up.
It's going to be more of that.
Much more annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. I understand that. And then, yeah, we find out that Nami is sick, and I was kind of wondering what would make her so feverish. I think a little bit later on in the volume we talk about weather changes and whatnot being a potential explanation, but that is something that I was thinking about. And yeah, we'll see. This chapter ends on that note.
I'm thinking pneumonia because all that wax she ingested in her lungs, and that's
maybe
it's warming up in your lungs where it's going to stay a liquid. And then bacteria is going to be attracted to that, and it's going to fuck your shit up hard.
Your lungs, yeah.
Oh, fair.
That's a good point. Anyway, that's what I had for 129. Michael?
All right. So I thought the first couple panels and then the last couple panels of the previous volume really played off of each other well. I think both were like 3/4 shots. Yeah. One of the fish coming up and the other of him there. Yeah. I like his design. I'm a big fan of all of the
big shots have been great.
He looks like a koi. Yeah. We're talking about goldfish, but he looks like a pond koi.
I think those are koi. I think kois are goldfish.
Oh, they might be. I think they are related. You're right.
They're one and the same. Yeah, actually. Yeah,
but it's a goldfish you get fillets off of.
It's true. I don't know that I would eat it.
Give me a goldfish steak.
I have a feeling they probably taste like shit.
Yeah, probably don't taste very good, but they're big enough.
Again, I feel like these two chapters are a good exercise in perspective with the giants and the fish and the ship. Like, the Going Merry looks so small compared to all of this going on.
Yeah.
Also, page 8 and 9, the big panel. I did not know what was happening there. I had to sit and think about it and read about it. And even then, I wasn't sure exactly what I'd seen. That being said, they get past it pretty quickly. All things considered, I think that the end result was kind of inconsequential. I feel like the whole goldfish stuff, while fun, while well drawn, while artistically expressed, did not have any real consequence to anything that we see going forward. If it has any kind of consequence even beyond what we've read, then I do not remember it. And yeah, that's that. Yeah, but we get back to boat life, and I'm always a fan. Yeah, just them hanging out, being themselves on the boat. It's sad that Nami's sick during all this. She can't join in their merrymaking, but it's still fun. And I also noted V is going to goon to Zoro here, and she did a little bit, but it was subdued. Good for you, V. You keeping the beast chained up.
I'm trying to not focus entirely on that, but please know that I stared at those two panels for some time. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
And then I also said, I guess that's Mr. 2. And you guys already expressed your thoughts. We will see more to come, perhaps. But yeah, that's really all I had. I said, for my summary, charming, which I did think this chapter was. It was charming with the perspective and the merrymaking of the shipmates on the ship, but inconsequential. It did kind of reshuffle the expectations of what's going forward. I feel like, we're leaving something behind and we're saying, okay, this guy's here, what's next? We're kind of repositioning where we are in this whole thing, but it kept the focus on Vivi and Alabasta. I thought that it kind of managed what is, like you guys have expressed, a bunch of characters well. It only did a shot of Mr. 2 rather than, giving him a bunch of time. His panel maybe felt a little misplaced just because I feel like that could have been done at a different time. It was just there and then it was gone. It didn't have any lead up. It didn't have any lead out. Yeah, there was some good what's the word? Slice of life stuff for the ship, which is always great. And then Nami's predicament is an interesting thing to throw in. Now your navigator's sick. Now one of my favorite characters is not,
what do you do with that?
Yeah, and it definitely kept me invested. Whereas maybe the previous chapter or two is just like wrap up.
I feel like that's
all right. We're done with Little Big Garden,
Little Big Planet.
Yeah.
Great game.
I feel like something that's interesting about this whole thing is the fact that this is caused by something that they seemingly have no control over. Like, it's not coming from an enemy. It's not coming from a circumstance that they can...
misstep.
Right. Exactly. So there's a little bit of a feeling of loss of control here. And it is interesting throughout this whole volume to see them navigate that and how they're going to address this issue.
Right. I would agree with that. But yeah, that's all I had for 129. V, 130.
Yes. So 130 starts with Sanji being so emotional. His expression is very vivid. Again, I always come back to, which I think it's now become kind of my reference for those very emotional shots. I'm drawn back to the Usopp Pirates scene with the way that it's probably going to be my frame of reference for the rest of this journey, if we're being honest, because it was so impactful. But yeah, so Sanji's face is drawn in a very vivid expression, and I do like knowing that he actually does care about her well-being. He doesn't just think that she's hot. Like, it's one thing to think that someone is hot, and then if they're not doing well, you're like, well, whatever. He cares. He actually does care about her, and I feel like that's a little bit refreshing to see. Mid-page 3, to me, was great. Just the sequence of events with Luffy and Usopp pointing at Nami while Sanji cries after Vivi asks if anyone knew a little bit of medicine. Like, the one person that knows anything about medicine is the one that's sick.
Yeah.
That was...
Who takes care of mom when mom gets sick? Mom dies.
That's exactly it. Those were exactly the vibes I was getting. And I feel like it made me chuckle. And it was comical despite the obvious gravity of the situation. But I was like, oh man, they're fucked, huh?
Yeah, even Karu's like, oh, you guys are cooked. You're done.
Yeah. They're just
Can we get
down
off?
at her. It was, okay.
Oh, we made a mistake.
And yeah, 104 degrees is high. That's like dangerous. And I mean, lucky for the boys that they've never been sick. Can't relate to that.
That struck me as so funny.
That they were never sick.
Why,
yeah, they're so like guarded. Not guarded. What's the word I'm looking for? Sheltered. It's like they're low key kind of sheltered for being adventurers. Like they've never been sick. How does that happen? But yeah, of course, being sick hurts and it sucks. And good for you for never experiencing that, but also fuck you for never experiencing that.
I get Luffy and Usopp because they lived in one place their whole life. There's no way Mr. Restaurant Boy never got sick.
Yeah, right.
Unless he has a killer immune system.
That's the shot. That was the heads cocked to the side shot.
Yes. Okay, so
I got it. Yay!
It also looks like you kind of called it when you're wondering what made her sick. Whoever said like the extreme volatility of the weather systems.
Yeah, because it shifted a lot, right?
Yeah,
as they were,
Vivi just flat out says like, yeah, it's probably caused by all the extreme weather.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure wax in the lungs don't help.
Right.
Are you a doctor, bitch? No, it's pneumonia. Shut up.
No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back.
It's kind of like, what's the thing about the ads? Mesothelioma?
Speaking of ads, man, I heard a JG Wentworth ad today. I was like, damn, that's a throwback. Yeah, it was when I was in the gun shop. It's like,
that's maybe an America thing. Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
877 cash now.
I have a structured annuity and I need cash now.
I feel like I have heard of that.
Oh, JG Wentworth. 877 cash now. Yeah, sorry.
No, but seriously, viewers, if you have a structured settlement
and you need cash now, probably don't go to them because they're probably going to rip you the fuck off.
They're probably going to scam the fuck out of you.
Just
I have to
get a job.
Yes. Ask a friend. A good friend. At the very top of page 6.
You can't see us. We're saying no.
Okay. Well,
it's just money and friends always gets weird.
At the top of page 6, the phonetic spelling of Sanji crying, "Nabi, please don't die." That was that was for some reason that cracked me. "Nabi, please don't die." I thought that was so funny.
He's done that a couple times before, like when someone's been all snot-nosed and crying and just like...
Yeah.
He does that well.
But I like that he's leaning into it because I don't know. It just sells it even more than if you were to just write it as is.
And also, these kind of people who react like this should not be in the sick room with the person.
No,
because of them all screaming, "Oh my god, she's gonna die!" It's like, no, dude, shut the fuck up. She's awake. Go away.
It has me wonder how good their immune system is. Like, are they more at risk for getting sick if they've
mesothelioma?
if they've never been sick?
Construction or dockyards?
Asbestos. Anyway, I have to say, like, I guess that's like, and I'm not going to get on my feminist soapbox, but there's there's a mental stress load that I feel like a lot of women feel, and you see that with Nami, where she feels so responsible for the ship and for getting Vivi and to Alabasta.
Let me interrupt because I think I have something to contribute here. We started watching the Barbie movie on the cruise, and I feel like it touches on this so well. Women are both expected to be like childlike, but also motherly at the same time. And it's a nonsense expectation. And that's something I really took from the movie. Yeah.
Well, that's it. We're expected to be everything all at once, right? And, similarly, if we want to get more into it, like, we're expected to be chaste and pure and to not have had many, like, sexual partners, but we're also expected to be really good in bed. It's weird what people expect of women.
Yes.
And I feel like that comes across in this chapter where Nami feels so responsible for the ship, for getting Vivi to Alabasta, that she pretends to be in a better shape than she actually is and doesn't take the time that she would actually need to rest. And I feel like ultimately that probably is one of the reasons why she, spoiler alert, gets worse.
Yeah.
It's probably how she got sick in the first place. Probably started off as a mild cold, and then she's like, "No, I got to keep going. I got to keep going."
Exactly,
like, take a fucking minute.
It's unfortunate because it's not. To me, this isn't an exaggeration. Like, this is something I've experienced myself, and that I've seen other women experience, and it's just sad. It's honestly sad. But I guess kudos to Oda to kind of being. What's the word I'm looking for?
Aware?
Subtle?
Not truthful, but accurate. It's very accurate, is what I was going for. And, okay, I did also want to touch on, as much as I have an issue with not telling Vivi the truth, I understand why Nami would do it. Like, making Vivi panic wouldn't make the ship go faster, right? But I'm also someone who is a big proponent of being honest and being transparent. And this is certainly a situation where I would find myself kind of being torn between those two options. Because I would want her to know, but I also wouldn't want her to hurt. And I wouldn't want her to panic where there's nothing that can be done about it. So I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about that and what the viewers might have to say about that. But I'm definitely torn as far as that's concerned about, like, do you tell someone in that situation? What do you guys think?
I would say Nami did the right thing.
It depends. I mean, in this context, now with the kind of crew she has, it's better to, kind of put on the strong face because they can't really handle it if you're honest with them. If you're like, hey, I'm kind of like on the verge of death. Where it's just like, I'm not feeling hot. Let's just try and find me a doctor. I'm fine. I just don't feel too well. Let's try and find a doctor. Where it's like, hey, I'm about to die. You need to find me a doctor now.
I was actually talking about how Nami is keeping from Vivi the fact that basically the political issues happening.
So
that's on page 8, I think. Yeah, that 300,000 soldiers have defected from the royal army, joined the rebels, like that whole political thing. And then Nami is basically saying that she's known because she's been reading the papers, right? But she's not let Vivi know about that.
She's not wrong. It's not going to make the boat go faster.
Right.
It's not going to make
nothing.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's like to tell her could send her into like a fucking anxiety spiral. Where it's like, oh shit, I need to help, but I can't help. Oh shit, and just
you shut down.
I feel like as the ruler of this nation, part of me thinks that she would be entitled to know, and that's why I'm torn because
that's tough. That's really tough.
It's really tough.
But from what I
still stand by Nami doing the right thing.
From what I've seen of Vivi, I think coming from Nami's sense, who she's used to dealing with, it makes sense why she didn't.
Right.
That's a great point.
That's true.
What I've seen of Vivi, it's more like, no, Vivi's kind of level-headed and kind of got a strong, like, you've seen her inner strength. I think it's something that's like, hey, like, I'm going to let you know so you can resolve yourself and be ready for it when you get there.
Yeah. If anyone
So you
would
already
be
have a
able
game plan
to
going
handle
into
it,
it. Yeah.
it would be her. Yeah.
But I think she was clouded by the fact it's like, I deal with Sanji and fucking Luffy.
And
Usopp, for Christ's sake. No, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
You're going to kill yourself if I tell you this.
I think that's fair.
But I think seeing her witnessing Vivi's strength, I think she had the chance to be like, no, she's tough. It'd be better to tell her so she can start formulating plans.
Yeah.
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 I retract. Actually, based on what Dylan said, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And kind of in the wake of all of this, Vivi shows a lot of kindness and understanding towards Nami and her condition, and then she is the one that asks that they go look for a doctor to help Nami first. And I'm just very happy to see that friendship blossoming. I think it's beautiful, really. Like,
I'm with you.
I like them a lot as a duo. I think they make a great team, and it shows that they truly do care for one another.
Well, that also kind of leans towards like the sensibility and strength of Vivi again, which she realizes like, no, the fastest way to get there, if we tried to get there without you, it's going to take us longer. It'd be better to just get you full health. And I guess that's kind of what had me questioning Nami's choice in the first place, because of the way that Vivi reacts so well. But like you said, when she's used to dealing with people like Luffy and Usopp, then I don't necessarily blame her for choosing to address it in that way. Yeah. But yeah, just I thought that was interesting because it brings a lot of depth to the story, and the rest of the volume kind of continues on that trend where we're getting more into the political, we're getting more into the like socio-political aspects of how these nations and these islands are being governed and their relationships and whatnot. And I thought that was an interesting glimpse into all of that. The full page panel at page 17 with the cyclone to me was really impressive. It's another good show of perspective. The size difference between the Marigo and the cyclone, just good. It was very dramatic also. It was giving like the first time I saw Twister back in the 90s. Like, it's another cow.
It was like,
it's the same cow.
It's the same cow. But yeah, I thought that was, and just the way it's shaded in, I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, so after we see the cyclone, Vivi is catching on to how talented of a navigator Nami truly is, because Nami earlier
just felt a wind shift.
Said that she felt the wind shift. She knew that a storm would come their way, and she is the one that made them change course without being obvious about it. She just kind of told them they listened, as they should, and
in the midst of a fever that's about to fry her fucking brain.
Right, like it's 104 degrees. That's hot. That's very close to death. Yes,
you don't have much wiggle room.
It's dangerous. Yeah, and I think that was moments. That was Vivi's moment of realization of, oh shit, she's really good at what she does. We've seen it earlier, but this kind of consolidates that, especially to a new.
It's a new person.
Yeah, it's a new member on the merry-go. And then, okay, to me that was really funny, and I don't know why it was so funny to me, but I think it's at the middle of page 19. Where I think Luffy just says, "See any doctors?" As if finding a random doctor in the middle of the ocean during a snowstorm was a common occurrence or something that one would expect. Like, no,
it happens.
I don't see a doctor, Luffy.
There's an Archer line that really winds up. It's like, you just half-ass everything good for it. It's like, because it usually works out for me. That's Luffy's mindset. It's like, because it normally works out. Like, what do I got to worry about?
And yeah, so then Usopp kind of echoes my sentiment there when he says, "You expect us to find a doctor here?" And yeah, the chapter ends on a good cliffhanger with Zoro seeing something or someone with his binoculars.
Is it a doctor?
We will find out that it is not.
Well, I also like, because like seeing that, like what you talked about with Usopp, it's like Usopp is like Luffy's goofy like soulmate kind of deal. But he's also, like, very much a realist.
Yes.
And then anytime that Luffy says some like really off the wall, like off the hinge, dumb shit, he's like,
Usopp calls him out.
"You're a fucking idiot." like when Nami sits up, it's like, "Oh, she's better." He smacks him in the back of the head. It's like, "That's not how it fucking works."
You fucking dumbass. And
Luffy should be like, "You're a fucking coward.
Yeah.
But you're an idiot."
I'd be a coward that's stupid. Not really. I hate myself.
But just final sentiments sort of on this chapter, and on the volume as a whole. I'm finding so far, and that proves to be true as we're continuing down the volume, this volume is paced really well.
Yeah.
I like the way that it's paced. I think Oda nailed it in how he's just making the sequence of events feed into each other and driving the story forward without being too extreme, and we're getting exactly to where we need to go, exactly at the pace that we need to get there at.
It's a breath of fresh air after Little Garden.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I feel like this chapter made me realize that even more than the previous ones or more than the following ones. Right. It's just well paced and a good way to drive the story forward. And that's what I had for 130. Is it Dylan's turn?
Yes. I love how like the cover story is gone, where it's like before it was just Onion seeing Django. It was like, oh shit, a pirate, and then it cuts to like the gang, Usopp's pirates, chasing him down.
How many times we gotta teach you this lesson, old man?
Exactly. Yes. And it's like, you slow down, we'll run them pockets, motherfucker. You best keep running.
Yeah.
And also like the scene of like Sanji, like he does like liquids dripping off people's faces as well. Like, when this is gross because it's boogers and tears, and it's also like, and the sob and hick, it's like does a really good job of like portraying that he's kind of like hysterically crying because he's like hiccuping and shit. And also the fact that he's just got like the tissue in his mouth. It's like, dude, like, come on, look at yourself, clean yourself up, use the tissue to get your nose. And you're a man. You're not allowed to show your emotions.
Oh.
I also love the fact that Karoo is in the corner, just like everyone's kind of like, oh, what's going on with Nami? Karoo's just preening himself. It's like, I got some pin feathers. Might take a little sip. And again, like V said, it's like, who knows about medicine? Everybody pointing to her. And then I love Sanji's thing. It's like on page 4, when Sanji's like, up to now, I've taken extra care in the preparation of Nami and Vivi's meal. Simps. I've made sure that they were well balanced and had meat and vegetables. Something went wrong with it. I just fed it to you guys. And Usopp's like, oh, what the fuck, dude? And Luffy's, of course, like, well, it tastes good. I get that. Yeah, Luffy, as long as it tastes good, I don't give a shit. But then Sanji, like, reaffirming his role, being like, anyway, as long as I'm the ship's cook, you don't have to worry about basic nutrition. I make sure you're not going to get sick because you're not eating the right stuff. That's not something that's a possibility when I'm on the ship. I like that. I like him being like, no, this is my area of speciality. You don't got to worry. Like, stay in your fucking lane. All right, can you even read? Yeah, I didn't think so. And then, like, there are all sorts of special foods for different diseases, but the issue is I don't know what she has.
Right.
Yeah. Like, okay. And then, then feed her all of them. And then he's like, that's a really good way to make someone sick. Oh, you have a sickness. Let me just give you all the medicine for every sickness ever. It's like,
let me give you one of everything.
Yeah, I got some Clonopin. I got some fucking opiates. It's like, no, dude, stop. God, you're not Dr. Gonzo. You can't survive that.
Is that Dr. Gonzo the Muppet?
No, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's just got a briefcase of extremely hard drugs that they just go on a 2-day rampage bender on. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Johnny Depp. Phenomenal performance.
It's pretty good.
And then also the middle panel 5, when it's just like, oh, I've never been sick. It's like, yeah, that's definitely Straw Hat energy right there. But again, we covered like the hiding the information about Alabasta. That was pretty big, but we covered that pretty well. Yeah, and just seeing the gravity of her realizing that, and I like the line bottom right of 10 that she has. When she's, I have to get home or 1 million of my people will kill each other in a senseless war. You're not like, I need to destroy the rebels. It's like, no, these are all my people. I need to stop this conflict in general. Like, we don't need a civil war. It's just,
great Vivi chapter overall.
Yeah. I feel like we don't see a whole lot of that.
No.
In this modern age.
It's either you're with me or you're against me. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to scream you down. There are no conversations, just arguments. And it's a fucking shame. But yeah, I mean, V really covered like all the really good points of like Nami just like instinctually being able to call shit out in the midst of the death-defying fucking fever. Vivi really being a sensible, level-headed leader, being like, no, if we want to get there as fast as possible, we need to make sure Vivi is alive. Or not Vivi, Nami. We need to make sure Nami gets better. And then fucking after she says that in 16 middle song, she's like, well said, Vivi, I like you. Yeah, no shit, we know. You don't need to say you.
Does she have boobs?
Yeah. But I think, yeah, I mean, besides that, yeah, we pretty much covered everything pretty well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
So, 130. Again, we're getting some more ship life, but in a more dire kind of circumstance. I thought it was hilarious Sanji just explaining the basics of medicine to Luffy. He probably needed that. He won't remember it.
Nope.
So I just pipe an ibuprofen anytime I feel weird.
Yeah. One thing I especially loved was Nami, sick as a dog, still fussing at Zoro. Zoro's like, I got it. Don't worry about it. And she's like, that's what I'm scared of. We will all die if you are running this.
I don't know. If I were to trust literally anyone else on the crew other than Vivi and Nami to get shit done, it would be Zoro. Again, I
don't know about navigation.
I don't know about navigation, but in terms of like keeping the order,
yeah, that's fair.
Of being level-headed, anyway, better than Luffy and Usopp is all I'm gonna say.
But yeah, the rest of my notes here are just highlighting Nami and Vivi. Nami is trying her best to keep everything together here. And it's really reflective of her upbringing that we saw back in Arlong Park, you know? It really does kind of exemplify that character well.
Yeah.
And she's still navigating. I wrote The Queen Stays Queen. It's a Survivor reference, but also, let's fucking go, Nami. And I really loved Vivi and Nami's relationship as it continues to develop. I mean, the feminine energy needs a little boost every now and then. It is important. And then, yeah, the ending, I thought was kind of funny. Luffy, like, is there a doctor out there? And then Zoro's like, actually something's standing out there. Perhaps a doctor. I don't know. We will see. But, yeah, just to kind of summarize, there's lots of crew dynamics. A really good chapter. I thought it was both funny and heartfelt at the same time, which is something that, you know, fake out deaths be damned. There's a lot of things that One Piece nails, and this is one of them. It really does tie together some very conflicting emotions in a way that makes sense, that is fun to read and keep reading. Great interactions between the crew. I like the conflict with Nami. I kind of touched on that a little bit, but, you know, Nami being sick really throws a wrench in everything. And I loved Vivi's reaction to all of it. Vivi is growing as a character in my heart and my eyes. Unlike the fake out deaths, I think that this is tension done well. It's such a you're really disappointed and then you're really impressed, and that's just where we're at right now. Like I said, there's stuff to look forward to, and then there's stuff that you're just going to be disappointed in. That's just part of it, you know. 1,000 chapter manga, it's going to happen. 131 is still in.
Again, the cover art where it's like they're on the beach, like yelling at him, throwing shit at him, like, get the hell out of here. You're not welcome here.
Do you feel bad for him a little bit? No. I mean, he was a bad person to his core. He was not there to do good things, but I like him. I don't know. There's part of me that just like can't separate the two.
As a character cool. In the story, cool. Yeah, he's cool. Do I like the character? No.
No.
Not saying it's like it's a bad character. No, it's a good character. I just don't like him because, you know, he's bad. He's a bad guy.
He did try to kill those kids.
He's got like the, I don't know, what do kids call it these days? Riz? I don't know.
Ohio?
No, his spit's kind of like Rhythm with the Tism, kind of a little bit. The way he interacts too.
Rhythm with the hypnotism.
Okay, we might have to coin. Might have to coin that one, Michael.
I'm gonna reel that one back.
That's sexual assault.
Yeah. Maybe not sexual. Yes, it's assault of some kind.
Maybe not. I mean, Riz
leans more
charisma?
towards
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Moving on.
And then we get this goofy ass looking dude with a bow.
I knew you were going to say exactly that.
Like, he's goofy as shit. Yeah. Bow's cool, though. I just love it's like after they're all kind of like staring him down, and he's just kind of looking around. It's like, damn, it's kind of cold today, huh?
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah. I don't know. Like, Luffy and Usopp are like, yeah, kind of, it really is. It's like, yeah, he's not wrong.
Honestly?
And it's just kind of like the interaction between them, the fact that it's taking as many pages as it is. It's like, well, This is just so awkward. Like,
it's just a standoff, kind of. It's an awkward standoff.
It's like not even violent. It's just weird, but it's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what's going on? Like, you hear increased buoyancy. Aye, aye, sir. And then we get the, like, 3/4 page spread of this ball of a ship coming out of the water, which that's a cool concept. Some submersible vessel.
I hoped you'd like
where,
that.
like, he's just, like, he's not standing on water, he's just standing on the crow's nest, which is underneath the water and you can't see it. Cool concept. And it's kind of cool to see Sanji in, like, the middle of page 7, where it's like, the ship's getting pitched around, you see Sanji is, like, just holding up the bed that Nami's on to keep it from, like, jostling around.
It took me a second to realize what he was holding on to.
I like after, like, the dome of it kind of, like, drops and expands to where it looks more like a normal ship. The design of the ship is kind of cool. I hate the head, like, the figurehead. That's dumb looking.
Oh, I kind of liked it.
But the rest of the ship kind of, well, it kind of makes sense because, like, Hungry Hippo kind of deal.
I wonder if that's what he was going for. I have no idea, actually.
Yeah, submersible ship in this universe, very cool. Like that idea. And then you kind of meet the captain, which Wapol of 10, captain of the 10 Tyrant Pirates. This is where it kind of leans, because he's eating a piece of meat off a knife. And then you kind of leans into it, like, oh, now you figure out that he has devil fruit powers because he eats the knife.
The munch fruit.
It's just, I like the standoff and everything. There's just all the dialogue on. He starts eating the ship. Somebody tries to get tough with Luffy, and he's like, "Don't move, Captain Wapol's eating," and he just immediately knocks him. Shut up.
Where's that?
That's page 14. Yeah. It's kind of like the whole standoff because I'm jumping because a lot of this is just standoff and explanation of who's who.
Yeah.
And then eventually he knocks the guy out, and they're like, "All right, fire!" And I love like top page 15. It's like the boys. The boys are just like he starts with they're like, "All right, fight."
Except for Usopp.
And then the Zolo smirk as he's pulling a sword out. It's like, that's what we should have done from the far. The smirk on fucking Sanji's face. It's like, what? Oh, we can fight now? Let's go. It's like, all right, yeah.
They've done a lot of medical care lately. They're probably itching.
Usopp immediately like, oh, can't we talk this out? It's like, now, dude, homeboys are eating your boat. Fuck that. Well, like how the two, I guess the first mate and shit of Wapol's crew, the goofy looking dude and the other pretty goofy looking dude.
Also goofy.
Like a more conventionally goofy ass looking dude. It's like, yeah, you just chose a hairstyle. It doesn't work for you. Where the other guy's like, what the fuck are you? But they're fighting us. Those fools. They're rushing to their deaths. It's like, bro, you don't know. It's the Straw Hats. And I love like because they start fighting, and then Vivi hears gunfire, and she immediately like turns to Karoo. It's like, Karoo, watch Nami. I'll be right back. And Karoo's like, fuck it, I got this, dude. This Karoo, like, I want Karoo to become a Straw Hat. I want him to be a staple of this manga from now on. Like,
he's so cute.
Anytime you need a little bit of comedic relief, you just throw that motherfucker in there, and it's like, oh.
He doesn't even have to do anything.
He just has to be adorable. Just anytime it's getting really heavy, just have him sitting on the sidelines taking a sip out of his little cup. It's like, all right, we're okay. And then Sanji and Solo just kind of like doing what they do, handling the guy's crew. Sanji's like, you're not so tough. And Zolo, even the way they drew Zolo at the bottom of page 16, it just seems like he's disappointed. I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be a good fight, but this is easy.
He says they're all show.
Yeah, and it's like they're all show, and then their crew was like, oh my god, dude, they're so tough. And then Luffy tries to interfere and gets chomped on by Wapol. There's perspective shots of the Gum powers. When he's just like reeling his hands back, and you see him stretched way out from the ship.
That's gotta be like 100, 200 feet back.
Oh, yeah. And then he just comes in and just launches his ass, which is important because, it has a devil fruit. He can't swim, which also makes it weird that he's in a submersible boat at the same time.
Yep. I got thoughts.
Pretty much, it's like if you're in a submarine and the submarine suffers catastrophic damage, you're fucking done. So, like, anybody who's a submariner, you are a brave motherfucker because, like, when it goes down, there's no real way of escape if you're underwater already.
I mean, as deep as a submersible goes, you're going to be crushed by
if you were to get out of it,
right?
That makes me wonder, it's like, do they have, like, escape pods like you see in, like, Star Wars and shit, where it just launches out a little mini submersible that gets to the surface?
I can't help but assume no, but maybe.
But I also like the shot of the takeoff. Because it kind of looks like he's, because you said he was very inspired by the creator of Dragon Ball who passed away recently, right?
Yeah. I mean, who was it?
Honestly, but
around this time,
when he does the takeoff thing, it's like, it just screams Kamehameha. The way his hands are positioned, the way the force is shown.
Right. I don't know, but I can't help but assume.
Yeah.
I can't help but assume that everything in this colored at least a little bit by Akira Toriyama. This is the name you're looking for his work.
Rest in peace. That motherfucker.
Yeah.
not for you. Americans might not be able to enjoy this kind of media. Yeah, but that's all I really got for that one. A lot of like I said, it's a lot of introducing this other group of pirates standoff.
Overall, did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just there's not really much to comment on when it's like, oh, I'm this captain of this pirate crew. I have fruit powers.
You also liked Little Garden from the beginning, so yeah, I guess first impressions aren't always...
Well, I kind of enjoyed Little Garden. Like, what really threw me off of Little Garden was Mr. Three's monologuing. If they just trimmed out some of that fat on the monologuing, I probably would have liked it a lot more.
Right.
That's why I gave him that voice. So you didn't start with that voice, but you kept going, so I gave you that voice.
And I feel like you can do as much as you can to build up an environment, but the action that happens within that environment is what's going to make or break it, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So,
agreed. But me?
Yes. So 131. I have to say, maybe it's me being Canadian, but I like how fluffy Oda makes the snow look. I'm happy I don't have to deal with the snow right now, and I can't say that I'm especially happy about the, temperatures in the hundreds that we've had.
So funny, because I beg for snow here.
That's never happened.
But there's something that's truly appealing to me about snow, and I'm one of those people. I love snow for December and January, and then it can leave, as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, winter in Canada lasts until April, but that's okay. I found it to be, I just like the way that he drew it, and that it
looks a lot less aggressive than it can be, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Very true. It makes it seem like a nice, cute little snow on Christmas morning instead of whatever blizzard people might need to be dealing with. Also, first thoughts, who the heck is that guy just standing in the middle of the ocean? The vibes I got from him, someone mentioned Bard. I was thinking Jester.
Yeah, very, very Jestery.
Yeah, just the character design, the costume design. Yeah. Oda does this thing, and it's not the first time that I pointed it out, and certainly not the last, I'm sure. He uses the pages themselves to express pacing in the story. And it's like, them finding the guy and interacting with him happens over 4 pages, but not a lot of action actually happens. I feel like what's conveyed is, like, what's conveyed in how long these pages feel is that they're all in disbelief. That's exactly it. Yeah. They're all in disbelief, and they're all, like, kind of at a standstill, and their hesitation in how to react to this encounter comes across really well in how it's paced in the chapter itself. Yeah, I guess I never really gave much thought to how an author would use the pages themselves for pacing, but Oda's been doing that a lot, and I really appreciate that. And then to emphasize that the ship that was hidden beneath the surface reveals itself in a super dramatic way. The ship takes almost a full page, and the chaos that it creates follows very, very quickly. Like, again, it expresses that, like, suddenness. The design of the ship I thought was quite clever. To me, it looked like a fishing bobber. Like when you have the little, like, thingy on top of your fishing line, and that's how you see whether or not something's nipping at it. At the top corner of page 9, Zoro openly states, "We don't have time for this." And I can just feel how over with all of this he is. He is so done with this. He so wants this to not be a thing, and he's like, I cannot wait to just be out of here. And I get it. We really do not have time for this. We got someone sick. We gotta get places. We don't have time for this. Please leave.
Shit to do.
Like, I'm busy. My calendar packed. You don't have time for. Move on. I feel like that's exactly how he's coming across. Man, Sanji's getting his groove back. Just seeing him light his cigarette while surrounded by pirates over pages, I think it's 9 and 10. At the bottom of page 9, and the top of page 10, where he's lighting his cigarette. Like, he just looks cool. I don't know why exactly, but he just looks cool.
I noted these couple panels as well.
Sanji's definitely getting a little bit of a renaissance as far as I'm concerned throughout this volume. Interesting design on. Okay, remind me how to say his name. Wapple? Yeah, Wapple of tin. So I'm gathering that he's not only covered in metal or tin, but that his stomach is also coated in it. We do find out that he's eaten the munch fruit. I have to say I'm kind of squirming a little bit, imagining how it would sound to hear him eat all of the inedible things that he seemingly has an appetite for. And that's also giving... So there's, I think people would call it a mental illness called pica. That is a disease where people have a compulsion to eat inedible things.
I think I know exactly what you're talking
about. That's what it's giving. Like, people will eat nails or chalk or things that you're not supposed to be eating. And that's the vibe I'm getting from him. And yeah, Dylan pointed it out. I really like how eager the boys are to fight over pages 14 and 15. It's in their blood. I mean, except for Usopp. But that's not surprising. Hopefully he'll get there someday. But for now, we're focusing on the others. And I like seeing that itch for them to fight. I thought it was really cute that Karoo is on Nami watch. I'm not sure how long that'll last, because so far they've all left one by one. And the trend might continue.
Listen, if Karoo runs out there, things are bad.
It's serious business. And yeah, so page 17, we find out that Wapple has the power of the munch fruit, which explains a lot. Okay, and I need a little bit of an explanation as to what happens.
You and me both.
Yeah, so I need to know what happens over like pages 16, 17, 18, 19. What I'm gathering is that Wapple swallows Luffy, his body, but like, what is he doing with his hands? Like, how does he get out? I don't understand. I don't understand what happens.
My only guess is that he did not get his hands. That's it.
Yeah, so he's...
At first I was like, did he get his feet? And I'm just not seeing his body. It's not well drawn. I'm with you. I noted this exact thing. It's not clear exactly what's happening, but now that you mention it, I think he does eat the whole ass man.
It's just confusing to me. And I guess I understand that Oda was maybe trying to show the extent of the munch fruit, but it's done in a clumsy way in that specific instance. So yeah, just a teensy bit of criticism, just because it makes it hard to follow the kind of the sequence of actions. I do want to point out in the SBS, the last entry, they mentioned that in the anime adaptation of the manga, Chef Zeph loses his leg in a shipwreck rather than cutting it off by himself and eating it. I guess I get it. I mean, it feels watered down to me because, like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of...
Yeah, but that's not the version we're consuming.
No, I know. I guess I find that these differences are interesting. Like, how they're trying to make certain things more digestible to a broader, maybe more childlike audience.
The One Piece anime, viewers, correct me if I'm wrong, I did not watch One Piece this far back. In the US, at least, was done by 4 kids. It has a reputation. Again, Sanji's cigarette was replaced by a lollipop. It was completely targeted to a childlike audience. Child. And I don't know if that's the same thing they got in Japan. I doubt it. I would assume the Japanese version got a little bit more faith to the subject matter, but I can say that at least in the US, the 4 kids version is derided as a goof. Maybe this letter came from a US viewer.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think it's just interesting to see the differences between the manga and the animated version, and that's, I think, a pretty common thing throughout Japanese animation. Like, I know, for example, Sailor Moon, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus in the manga are lovers, and in the anime they're cousins, because they didn't want to they didn't want to have a lesbian couple.
Well, cousins can be lovers in the United States.
Dylan,
well, you can
stop
marry
it.
Your cousin, just not your gay one.
No, we're civilized, okay? But yeah, I guess that's a trend. And I just find it interesting to see those those differences.
Well, that's really interesting considering how Japan has traditionally viewed homosexuality, because they're still having trouble dealing with it. Like, I've seen videos of guys who live in Japan and YouTube out there, like, be like, oh, we're going to go to Love Hotels and review them, and it's two dudes.
Yeah.
And they walk up and they're like, no, I think two dudes aren't allowed to enter, even though it's been made illegal to deny people service because of that.
I think it's a little bit more socially acceptable for two women to be in a relationship as opposed to two men, which I think is bullshit. Yeah, I feel like Sailor Moon in general is kind of known as a little bit iconic as far as that's concerned, because it even kind of hints to trans characters, because the very last Sailor Scouts that are introduced are men, but when they transform into women, into their Sailor Scout forms. Just a
really?
Fun, yeah. Huh. Just a fun little note. So it was a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Innovative or like groundbreaking at the time when it came out.
Sure.
But I find it interesting how, just in general, the differences between manga and an animated thing that's meant to maybe be viewed by a broader audience. I just think it's interesting how they choose to make it more digestible or easier to sell, right? Because ultimately they're trying to sell the rights to show it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. That's all I have for 131.
So I will say that we'll find out later that his name is Chess. I think the vibes I got from him, maybe agree or disagree, I got Kingdom Hearts vibes from him. It seemed very much like a Kingdom Hearts villain to me. Maybe not a major one, but nonetheless, heartless touched, kind of goofy, but yeah. I also really liked the submarine ship. It's the first time we've seen anything like that, and the thick boy captain kind of complements his armored ship quite well. I thought they were quite a good complement together. And I can only imagine that the Munchmont fruit may have been the power that Luffy dreamed to have gotten, but here he is with the Gum Gum fruit. Also, he gets knocked off into the distance. He is a devil fruit user. He cannot swim. We see him later. Spoiler alert, we see him later. What happened? I don't know. I don't claim to have the answers.
We do see him later, and
either he got real lucky, maybe too lucky.
Landed on something. Or, yeah.
Yeah. Or they were so fast to leave that they caught him. I don't know. The action sequence at the end was very much not clear between Wapol and Luffy.
I'm glad it's not just me, because I was like, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, it was not clear. Shake my finger. No. I'm going to rewind a little bit. Sanji running out to get into some action, and then immediately being confronted by dudes with guns, and then deciding to light up a cigarette. I thought that was an excellent sequence. That was a 10 out of 10
That's addiction. Right there.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, it's like, I just need another cigarette, bro.
I'm going to need a moment, but I loved it. I thought it was so cool. It was very Sanji, and yeah, it nailed everything it was trying to nail. So, all things said, I'm not sure what to think of this chapter. At the very least, it was fine. This is clearly a transition, but I don't know if it was particularly fun. I don't know if it was exciting. It certainly wasn't heartfelt. I've said it before, they don't all have to be bangers, but a spade is a spade, and I'm going to call it as such. I will say, it wasn't bad. It was not a bad chapter. And yeah, that's really all I had. Highlight being that Sanji running out and smoking a cigarette. Hell yeah, Sanji.
Get that lung cancer.
Yeah.
Yo, is there any a program he has where I can buy a certain brand of cigarettes and get cool stuff for it every cigarette pack I smoke? If he wrote this back like 10, 15 years beforehand, I probably would have a cigarette fucking sponsorship.
Right?
So, the first thing right off the bat, Chapter 132's intro image story opens on a Captain Morgan X Django crossover? Question mark?
I love crossovers.
And I guess this has me wondering, like, did I miss it? Have they met before, and am I just, like, missing it? Or is this the first time that we're actually seeing them?
If you're actually asking, I do not remember them.
Well, no.
Each other, or
they probably have met each other, considering Captain Morgan was the one who was hypnotized to be like, "Hey, I killed Kuro." Right.
That's true. Right, because we do see, like, that scene of Kuro being on the ship and Kuro's foot being on Captain Morgan's jaw.
Which you called out, which props that. That was an amazing call out.
Thank you. But that, you're right, like, that would, assuming that Django was indeed working for Kuro at the time, or was in the Black Cat Pirates at the time, they probably would have met. If we're extrapolating, but I don't think that within the context of the story as told now, we have seen them interact within the context of the manga and the story that we have been following thus far.
That is correct.
Right, so that has me a little bit excited because, I mean, I kind of love Captain Morgan. Maybe it's the sheen of him having been like the first quote-unquote bad guy, other than Alvida, that we've seen, and I don't know, he has an axe for a hand. He's kind of hot. I'm interested. Anyway, I was a little bit curious about that as the intro image story. And honestly, just happy to pursue, to like, see Django moving forward with his own adventure or misadventure, we will see. I found it so wholesome and heartwarming on page 3 as Nami wakes up and sees that all of her friends are sleeping beside her. I thought that was really cute. I don't know, it came across as, like, they really do care about her. They want
Special note on Vivi, she's over her bed.
Yeah, like, she's right there, like, kneeling beside the bed with her head on it. And I think you can see that she sees it, like, at the bottom right corner of page 3, like, just the way that half of Nami's face is drawn, you can tell that she's touched. Like, she recognizes the fact that her crew does have affection for her, and it's kind of nice to see it. I don't think that, especially not Luffy, but like Luffy and Usopp, I can't see really verbalizing that affection they might have for her, and that's a way in which it expresses itself that I thought was nice. Okay, I have some thoughts here about the, like, flashback that we're getting. I do like that we get a little bit of a flashback to explain what happened in the previous chapter, but I'm not sure why it's relevant to tell the story in that order. Like, why did they just not tell it in that order at the time? Like,
Just move past it, if not.
Right. I feel like that jump in the middle and the flashback, instead of just not doing the flashback and putting it at the beginning of the chapter and then following that scene, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why they had to put it in a flashback.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that's the first time I'm noticing that a flashback kind of didn't mean anything, or could have just not happened, right? Because previously I feel like the flashbacks were used carefully. They meant something. They meant to tell a part of the story that we weren't necessarily privy to, but that kind of came out of the blue as far as I'm concerned, and I was like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. Over pages 6 and 7, I like that Vivi is giving us a little bit of a Grand Line meteorology and weather patterns class. To me, it seems to me, anyway, that all the women hold the knowledge on this ship. We got Nami with the navigation skills, we got Vivi with the meteorology and whatnot. Like, I don't know. I feel like and that's not to say necessarily that the women do hold all the knowledge, but that's how Oda, it seems like the women have been his conduit to share that type of knowledge with the rest of the audience, and I find that interesting. Like, you wouldn't see something like that coming from, I feel like I'm picking on them, but coming from Usopp or Luffy. Like, they just don't know things. They do things, but they don't know things. And then even just thinking about it, like, Tashigi, when we were back in Logtown, had the knowledge about the swords. Right? So I don't know, it feels like a lot of the lore, it comes from the women in the story so far.
There's a lot of woman-splaining going on in this manga, I'm not sure I'm about it.
A little bit of woman-splaining. But yeah, just an interesting little observation here. I had a little bit of a chuckle at Usopp being a little pussy-ass bitch again, being scared of snow monsters, and saying that his don't go on the island disease was coming back.
It's kind of fucked up to joke about disease when you have somebody dying of a fever on the boat.
Yeah, when you actually have someone that is on the ship
read
dying.
The fucking room, dude.
Right. You know who actually has a disease? Nami. Put your big boy pants on and let's go.
What a good point.
Okay, bottom of page 11, I have to point it out. They're all wearing their snow outfits. They're all so cute. Wearing their adorable little snow outfits. Like, I don't... Like, Luffy with his fist raised up. They're all wearing the... I don't know. I just... Maybe it's the Canadian in me, but I like seeing them with
Zolo's is kind of fresh, too.
I know! He looks so good. He looks like he's getting ready to hit the slopes.
His is more, like, modern and designed, whereas... Where Luffy's is, like... I like Luffy's a lot. Sanji's more of a peacoat.
More like wool, like sheepskin and whatnot. But yeah, I just like seeing, and yeah, Sanji has his little like plaid scarf or something. I don't know. I think they're so cute. Yeah, they're so
There's
cute
some
in their little
boyos.
snow outfits.
It shouldn't be dripping this hard. It's freezing outside.
Right? It should be frozen. I might say this a few more times in this volume, but I really like the scenery of this environment. Maybe, again, that's the Canadian side of me, but that nice little scenic shot we see at the top of page 12, it looks like the Rockies with the snowy peaks and the valleys and the trees and whatnot. I love that stuff. And I have to say, I feel like the introduction of this new environment is being done very well. Like, right off the bat, when they interact with the guards, it makes me instantly curious to find out more about the people that live there. It makes the environment already feel so lived in and so real. Like, it just intrigued me. And I also had a thought where I was like, Dylan will like them because they have guns.
Hey.
Am I wrong?
In America, it's your God-given right.
It sure is, buddy. Anyway, also, it turns out that, so over pages 14 and 15, turns out that Vivi is a fucking boss-ass bitch. She takes a hit for Luffy, yet she doesn't show that she's hurt. She keeps her diplomat hat on. Like, she's hurt, but she's cool, calm, and collected. She understands the urgency of the situation. She manages to keep her cool despite having been shot. I feel like...
I get Luffy, though, where it's like Rambo. It's like, they drew first blood. Time to kill.
But you have to understand that she can't do that. As someone that is a good diplomat, a good leader of a country, and I'm putting emphasis on that word because some people seemingly are in positions of power where there shouldn't be because they don't have the integrity to back it up. But Vivi does. And she's reacting the way that I expect a good leader to react because I think she's aware of how delicate her situation is, her nation's situation is, Nami's situation is. She doesn't have time to stir up shit and stir up drama and be like, well, they shot first, so we're gonna fight back. That's not the way the situation should be handled, and that's not the way she chooses to handle it.
Yeah,
and
she kind of looks at it, it's like, there's a reason they shot first. Let's try and figure that out.
And let's try to figure it out, and let's show them that this isn't what we're looking for.
Let's not justify her.
I will say, she is in a position of lack of power.
Currently, but she still feels that obligation of power. Right. She still feels,
not disagree with that.
She still feels like she owes something to her
leader
country.
Doesn't mean she needs to not act like she's a leader still.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and it makes me like her even more as a character. And there's generally a lot of tension that you can feel over this chapter. There's a lot of build-up on page 18 as we see a close-up of everyone's expression. It's like you can almost hear a sigh of relief when the guards accept to let them see a doctor. Like, a lot depends on that interaction. And I feel like you can tell that they're like, we're good. Like, we actually have a chance to figure this out. And again, it's not just Vivi's situation with Alabasta, it's also Nami's health that are at stake, right? And you can tell that there's a huge sense of relief as that kind of drops, and that was conveyed really well. And yeah, I guess the one doctor is a witch, and we're going to find out more about her in the next few chapters.
Yeah, based on this time period, we're like in the 1200s, 1300s. Oh, medicine man.
We also have phones.
Witch!
Yeah. So that's what I had for 132. Dylan?
Yeah. There are like a lot of like big moments, I feel like, in this. Mm-hmm. The flashback kind of like... The flashback to me, I kind of agree, where it's like, no, we understand he has devil fruit powers and he can't swim, we don't really need the flashback of the crew being like, oh shit, he has devil fruit powers, he can't swim, we need to leave and go get him. That kind of feels totally unnecessary, because at this point it is very well established. You have devil fruit powers, you can't swim. Arlong Park made sure to nail that into our fucking minds.
Yeah.
That, like, he cannot swim, so if he gets in the water, he's cooked. The mention of, like, Nami seeing how much the crew actually cares about her, the fact that everyone is sleeping in the room with her to keep an eye on her, is very heartwarming. And, like, I love how, like, earlier Usopp's like, I'm not the ship's carpenter, but, like, no, you are.
You're the shore bitch.
Yeah, like... Oh, you're the only one with, like, the knowledge for it. Because, like, you do the engineering shit for your special attacks and shit, so you get how to, like, construct stuff. So you're a carpenter.
Listen, we work with what we got.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And I also love the fact that, like, as he's working on the boat, like, Karoo seems to be, like, his little homeboy. Like, Karoo seems to be following Usopp around.
I think Karoo will stick with anyone who will fucking have him.
That's like a golden retriever or a lab. Get the explanation of, like, how each island is a season. Kind of cool. It also really explains why the sea is so volatile. Because you have all these different biomes fucking interacting with each other. They finally get to the island, and I also love, like, Luffy's moment. It's like, huh? Oh shit, it's cold. It's like, are you really just now getting that, dude? Like, what the fuck? I think you might have talked on it. The scenery of the shot, the first panel on page 12.
Yeah.
Where it's like, looks like the boat is sitting on top of glass.
Yeah, that's so pretty.
You have all the people lying, like, very, like, I think so far, besides maybe Logtown, this does feel really lived in. You know, like, seeing all the people there, and it's just like, okay. Because that's one thing I feel like with anime and manga, it's really hard to make that, which is why I've always, like, respected Studio Ghibli. This is Princess Mononoke when they're in the Smith Town. It's like, holy shit, like, this feels like a city. And, like, all their times they're dealing with... Yeah, it's like, no, like, you
could feel the people living there.
It's like I can almost, like, see a background character and imagine how their life plays out on a day-to-day basis.
Like, all the women working the bellows. You could tell that they all
doing
have...
it, and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, give me some of that. I ain't seen a dick swing around these parts in months. Love that. So check out Studio Ghibli. It's not that vulgar. It's just we are who we are. But Studio Ghibli is great. If you're liking this kind of content, you're gonna love everything you see.
Yeah.
But at the Vivi, like you said, just like again, her strength, she gets shot, and she calls fucking Luffy out.
Yeah.
She's like flat out. It's like, you're a failure as a captain. Your impulsiveness will get everyone killed, and what will happen to Nami then? And then Luffy, respect to him, is like, what? Yeah, you're right. I am wrong. And immediately gets down. It's like, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. Like, you got a sick person. Please help us. Please help us. And it you can kind of see like the kind of shock on all the villagers' faces. Like, oh, well, okay, maybe we should. And then that's when the leader boy's like, all right, we'll help you out. But hey, here's the thing. Doctor's a witch. Oh, someone was sick and they're not sick anymore? Black magic. Burner. It's I don't know. Just for whatever reason, it's just giving me fucking Monty Python vibes. It's like, what else floats? A duck! Exactly. Very small rocks. But yeah, that's all I got. A lot of the scenery shots, and that's what I pulled away from this. It's like when we get to the island, all the scenery shots are incredibly beautiful. Like, this is good. It's like if you're like the kind of person who likes like a Bob Ross-esque kind of like artwork where it's just like a scenery, you could easily blow some of these up, put it on a wall, and be satisfied with it. Michael?
So I'm glad we're all on the same page with this chapter. I feel like this chapter went way harder than it needed to. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the flashback, which I agree was pointless. It gave nothing to this. Just make that a full page, like full 2-page of just. It
doesn't even need it. Like, we understand the consequences the flashback gives us. Yeah, it's like we're already aware. It's like they left. Oh yeah, they left because their captain's going to die if they don't leave. We know that.
Right. I wrote, Wapol can't swim. How can he survive this attack? Maybe he is just on some fucking something sticking out in the ocean. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. The rest of this chapter makes up for that. I do not care how Wapol survives, honestly.
Nope.
Because, yes, Drum Island is absolutely beautiful. I have always hated winter levels in video games.
Oh, God. Just makes me think of the water temple.
I'm thinking about the ice cavern. And
I'm thinking of any ice level in Mario.
Oh, the Slippy! I hate the Slippy.
Yeah.
Go, you need this frame perfect jump, but you have no control. Like your momentum does not stop.
It's the worst.
But more importantly for me, and I don't know if this sentiment's going to carry over to you guys just based on what I know about you, but StarCraft. StarCraft was my first distaste of winter levels, and it had nothing to do with the mechanics. I just hated my whole screen
just being white,
bright white. Yeah.
My eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And it set me on a dark path to hating winter levels, and then Mario didn't help.
Going outside like after it snows and it's like a super bright sunny day and just being blind.
Well, I
for
rarely
like 2 minutes
had that.
straight.
I wish I had more winter days, snow days. As a child.
I remember that.
You can have some of mine. Feel free.
I'd love to.
Feel free to come over and take a few snow days.
It makes me feel old because, like, as a kid, anytime because it's so rare where we're at. Like, it was always like, oh my god, snow day, yeah. But then, like, yeah, fuck yeah. But then I became an adult, and it's like, I can't go to the store. I can't go get something to eat if I want to go get something to eat. This is inconvenient.
Yeah, this was an exception to the rule. I thought this was so well done, and the fits. The Straw Hats' new fits?
Yeah, it's not smart to be drippy in a frozen.
I know.
Environment.
They are dressed for the occasion.
I love them.
And just being on a new island even increases that. Like, this is something new. We're beginning something entirely new.
Adventure awaits.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They're fresh and
ain't
clean,
no Eddie
whatever.
else like me. I'm just so fresh and clean.
Fresh so clean.
So fresh
I'm gonna
so clean.
rewind.
Exactly.
Vivi passed out across Nami's bed. I still it's such a small detail.
I mean,
I know.
Nice, wholesome.
It adds, and then my next whole 10 lines on this college ruled sheet of paper was about the confrontation at the end. Like, damn, this escalated quickly. Sanji's about to get shot. And then, oh no, I think Vivi did? Because in the moment I was like, what? It captured the chaos, the tension so well. Vivi threw herself.
And that shot came from the grassy knoll.
Yeah. She threw herself at Luffy's feet, and he actually listened. That is not a Luffy thing to do. He's recognizing that they are not in a position of...
I think he understands. He gets it. It's not
shows
his
the
first
level of
instinct,
respect
but he gets it.
She's gained from the crew. Yeah,
they understand what she's about.
Yeah,
I think, and yeah, I mean, Luffy listening and then bowing. He bows.
Yeah, which is very significant. Based on the culture this comes from.
Right.
And it's like, seeing that, it's kind of like, if it weren't the fact that she's the ruler of a kingdom, she would become a Straw Hat. For sure. Luffy would be like, no, you're part of the crew.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The whole thing, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in this. Maybe it wasn't subtle, but it was certainly powerful. I wrote subtle but powerful, but maybe it was as on the nose as it needed to be. I can't take a single thing away from this. This was as good as any chapter we've read. And it came out of nowhere.
Good. It really did.
Just showed a lot of growth in characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't expect to see.
It conveys the importance of the situation that they're in, the direness of the situation that they're in.
If Nami was up, they're fighting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. After the first shot that missed, they would have been hands.
They show up there and they're vulnerable, and they can see how much they actually need help, and that's not necessarily something that's easy to come by for the Straw Hats, right?
Especially for Luffy and Zolo.
So far, right, exactly. So far, they felt quite self-sufficient and independent and able to do their own thing. But when you think of they truly need their help. And it's a little off-putting, I would say, at first, to see them so, in such desperate need of help.
Yeah.
But I think it was bound to happen at some point or another. And yeah, it's an interesting development. And I feel like so far it's being handled really well in the way that the manga and this volume is being written.
That's right. I kind of want to roll back, this kind of, the thinking on it that you brought it up, reminds me of, you talk about how Zolo is extremely self-aware. Mm-hmm. And, in this scenario, it's just we need help. cool. It also it brings me back. It highlights when he's trying to cut his own legs off in the Candelabra, and then Luffy shows up, and he's immediately like, all right, Luffy's here. We don't have to fight. Like, hey, giant guy, he's going to handle it. We're not going to do this fight. Like, it's on him. And it's impressive.
He takes a step back during this. He says this is not my fight.
Zola is very... Yeah. Zola doesn't seem it, but he actually is. Like you've mentioned, is super aware of what's going on. Where
he knows his place. Yeah. He knows where he knows exactly where he stands. He knows what he's capable of. And he, I feel, similarly to Vivi, knows exactly what needs to happen for the benefit of everything else that the crew is currently being faced with, right?
I'm not sure if he knows, but when someone points it out, he's like, you're right.
I got you.
Yeah. It's like, no, you're correct. I didn't know how to deal with it.
Sometimes he's the guy to point it out. I will say that.
Yeah.
But, my summary is short. Fine start, but in my opinion, an epic finish. Wow.
Strong
tension, drama, danger. Again, out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere, like, hard as a brick.
It came out of nowhere, but it makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's not. It came out of nowhere, but it's not something. I'm not saying
it came out of nowhere as a negative. Came out of nowhere in such a positive way.
Right. I understand. I just want to make it clear for the listeners that we're saying that as in it's a pleasant surprise, but really within the context of the story, it makes total sense that this is where
twice
they're at.
as deep as almost anything that came in Little Garden.
Oh,
in this one chapter.
Easy. There's a lot more depth to it. A lot more is at stake if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I know that their lives were in danger in Little Garden, but it's different, right? There's just not that same sense of gravity.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 132 for me. 133 will be Dylan.
133. It kind of it's like, oh, that's just the hiking bear. Just give it a bow. It's not dangerous. Just bow to it.
Bear.
It's mountaineer tradition.
Of course, the hiking bear. Everyone knows the hiking bear.
I feel like Canada probably would have like a urban legend of hiking bear.
I'm sorry, like Play Dead makes sense. I get it, but I think it's kind of like with sharks. There's a difference based on the type of bear it is.
Oh,
you don't have
100%.
time to judge a shark, though.
Yeah, well, like a tiger shark, if it's coming after you, it's just because it's bored and it wants to bite something.
Black bears are little babies. All you have to do is make noise.
Yeah.
Brown bears...
But like a grizzly bear, it's like, if it's coming at you, it's coming to fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
Like,
and then a polar bear will hunt you down until you're dead.
Yeah, it's gonna wait for you to die from the elements and then eat you.
Oh, yeah.
But that's like the thing. It's like I bullshit with the idea of maybe doing the Appalachian Trail. If I was going to do the Appalachian Trail, I would bring, even though it'd be
bring bear spray.
Bear mace is a good idea, but I'd probably bring a firearm too.
You'd bring a firearm if you were going to fucking Wendy's.
It's just,
bro. Have you seen Wendy's?
I'm like, I go camping in the forest here, and I would never even think of bringing a weapon. But I do bring bear mace.
In campgrounds, it's like, okay, yeah. I'm not worried about it. There's too many people.
National parks, though, like in the middle of the forest in national parks.
Well,
I've brought bear spray before.
But I like the hiking bear, and the fact that the hiking bear just kind of looks aside, it's like, yep, gives the nod of acknowledgement and turns back, goes on its way. And it's got its little walking stick.
Bow to hiking bear.
Hiking bear's like, saw, dude. It just keeps going. And then again, the fucking Tootsie's on display. Zola, it's like, it's all better now.
Any injury he received to his foot. Am I missing?
He cut like halfway through his legs. That's what that injury is the fact that he almost cut his legs off.
Oh, that makes a lot more
sense.
And
it's still
like, when did it hurt his foot?
Yeah.
That's still, like, to me, it's like, there is something about you. It's been like maybe a week since you got halfway through your fucking leg. It would not be healed. And I love the fact that it's like, oh, it's all better, and then does like the monkey foot clap. It's like, see, duck? Look, Karoo.
Look what I can do.
And it's just like, like for whatever reason, it's cold. Never mind. I was like, why is he shivering? That's weird. And it's like, oh, wait, the Arctic. And just the line, like, this is like so looking like a badass. It's like, finally, I could stop taking it easy when he was like swinging 500 kilograms of weight on a stick just for shits and giggles.
Love you using the metric system, Dylan.
What's that in freedom units? How many Big Macs per football field is that? And immediately it's just like, and like you see the scar in the chest where he was before split in twain. It's like if Darth Maul got cut didn't quite get cut in half and there's just a little sliver left, that was Zola's injury. And it's like, oh, I'll take a polar bear club shit. It's like, oh, let me just jump in freezing water. No. Never.
Some people are addicted to that shit.
It's just the shock. It's like anytime I've tried doing it, like once I get to the point where certain things get hit with the water, it's like the immediate shock. Like,
the polar bear swim? That's why you have to jump in. You can't
the chest
walk into it.
Chest tightens up. You're like, it's like,
okay, I thought you were talking about your balls.
That's exactly what I was talking about. It's like,
okay.
I've gone out, like in like January, came down here with my older brother.
I tried to take a shower once recently, and I started hyperventilating.
Yeah, exactly. Like your chest tightens up.
Made for that. I tried to do it suddenly. I went from a normal warm shower, and I just cranked it. I was like, let's see what happens.
I feel like the coldest water I've swam in as a Canadian, and I'm going to use freedom units for you guys because for some reason we
know both.
Well, because for some reason we measure the temperature of water to swim in Fahrenheit, or that's how I was raised.
Does that feel natural to you? Like, are you like, yeah?
Yeah.
It's for the tourists.
It's just, so for me, the coldest water I've swam in was probably around, I want to say 59 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ugh.
For any sustainable amount of time.
Gross.
But that's not comfortable. For me, comfortable, I would say, is I want to say
68,
around
70 degrees.
Yeah, I want to say around 70 is where I'm like, I'm having a good time. Yeah, it was 59/60 was the coldest I've swam in, and it was cold.
But I love Snow Village Bighorn. It feels lived in, like we've said. Very, very lived in. Like, you see the villagers and the draft animals. I don't like kind of Luffy and Usopp, even though there's a little bit, like, their sense of wonderment, like childlike wonderment, and seeing these new areas is, like, it's endearing. I like that.
It's a special connection they have, for real.
It's like, to me, it's like, as an adult, it's like, I've kind of lost that childlike wonder. And it's endearing to see it. It's like, oh, that's...
I think Zoro and Sanji have both lost that.
Yeah, it's like, it's cold.
Well,
this is
like
bullshit.
I don't know. I feel like just to a certain extent, everyone kind of gets to that point of being disillusioned and being kind of blasé.
Right, but all the Straw Hats are within like a year or two of each other as far as age.
Yeah, but not in terms of life experience necessarily.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
Usopp saw a dude eat his leg. I mean,
Sanji, yeah.
And like, we're going to jump right here. I like bottom of page 7, because we don't see it yet, but we eventually find out this is a kingdom with no ruler. The ruler is left. Bottom page 7, Dalton, I'm looking forward to the election in 2 days. Everyone says they're voting for you. And then Dalton be like, oh, not me. I'm not worthy. The person you want to lead is the person who doesn't want the power. The way they introduce important character shots, fucking awesome. Captain Dalton, cool fucking dude. He's got a big-ass shovel sword. Little ridiculous, but he's of the stature where it makes sense. But his weapon definitely screams Monster Hunter. For me, that's like the sword, shield, axe right there.
Yeah.
Kind of like giving the whole scenario to him. It's like, hey, like, this is what's going on. This is what her temperature is. And it's like, if it goes any higher, she's going to die. Yeah, you do need a doctor. It's like, oh, well, you need to see the witch. You see those mountains outside the window? And then there's just some, like, fucking fucked-looking snowman right in the window. Because Usopp and Luffy are just out there fucking enjoying a snow day. Which, again, like, the childlike wonderment. It's like, that's, it's refreshing. Even though there's, like, a really tense situation going on, be able to just have fun. I kind of respect that. Also on the bottom of page 11, love the shot of the castle that the witch lives in. That's great. And also, like, again, this is a lot of I'm skipping over a lot. There's a lot of explanation of, like, the situation they're in, why there's only the one doctor, yada, yada, yada. Bottom left panel, page 12, where Usopp and Luffy are kind of, like, sitting there sipping it just reminds me of this kid's snow day. Like, you're out playing in the snow, and then you come home, fireplace is going, and you're sipping some hot chalky to warm up after being outside. It's nostalgic. I really like that. And the fact that the witch is 140 years old is ridiculous. Then we get some Santa Claus imagery on 13, which, yeah, Michael, you called it out, yeah. And then, like, Luffy, like, this is another instance of, like, because I'm jumping ahead to page 14, like, Luffy's being kind of brass about it, but, like, understanding the severity of the situation, where he's, like, just goes up to Nami, it's, like, smacking her on the cheek, and it's like, hey, wake up. It's like, you're fucked. We're going to climb this mountain. You don't have time. Like, I'm taking you, like, I'm going to put you on my back, and we're going up the mountain.
That's one of my favorite things about Luffy.
He's very clumsy about it, but he means so well. Like, his heart is so pure in that way.
Yeah. It's like to me, it's like he understands.
Action over words every time.
Yeah.
That's Luffy to a T. Action speaks louder than words, because his words are fucking dumb.
Nonsense.
Yeah, nonsensical, but like when he's getting his shit, he gets it. And then like you have like everyone arguing, it's like, that's a terrible idea. Even a healthy person could do that, blah, 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 blah. But then this is Nami putting her trust in the cat, bottom left of page 15, which is like, I'm counting on you. Which from what we've seen so far, Nami's not really comfortable doing that a lot. Normally she needs to be in control herself. We saw a little bit in Arlong where like when Luffy like put the hand on her head, it's like, I got this. You're good. And then I think that like really opened her mind to where she's like, no, I am part of this crew. I can trust them. And that's why she's like, you know what? Hey, my fate's in your hands. You got me. And I love, oh God. And speaking on that, 16, top of 16, the fucking, I'm dying from a fever, high five, bro, high five.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and girl, Nami, woo!
That's funny.
It's just like, I'm probably gonna die.
This is all I got. Let's fucking roll with it.
And then Sanji, like, not even being a simp. Like, this is kind of like Sanji just being this like stand-up dude kind of deal. Just like, all right, if that's the case, I'm going to. And then Usopp again coming in to check Luffy's bullshit. So just so you know, if like you fuck up and slip once, Nami's gonna die. And Luffy's like, wait, even once? It's like, bro, before we were just playing just a normal RPG. Now we're on that fucking From Software shit. We're on that Dark Souls, man. Souls. Yeah, you missed that roll. She's dead.
Part of me would love to do like a Dark Souls-esque D&D campaign, but another part of me does not want all of my characters to die.
That's
back
two.
Right?
Two Annihilation is kind of that. And I love like top 18. Let's go, Sanji, before Nami dies. And Sanji's like, what the fuck, dude? Don't say that. It's bad luck. And then I kind of like Dalton, like, it's like, again, it's a reaffirmation of how the crew feels about each other. Where Dalton's like, man, I hope they'll be okay. And Usopp's like, dude, you ain't got nothing to worry about. And Vivi's kind of like, honestly, it's like, you don't need to worry about the two of them. It's just like, can Nami survive long enough? And then he starts to go back inside. It's like, it's cold. Don't you want to come inside? And then they're like, nah, we're just going to hang out here for a while.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the significance behind Vivi specifically and Usopp not coming inside.
Solidarity. Their crew is braving the elements, so they're going to brave the elements too. They're not going up the mountain, but they're going to suffer the cold, the same as their crewmates.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's fair.
That's how I've interpreted that as well.
Which is why
it's a show of solidarity.
Yeah, which is why I like Dalton. Like, which is why I'm liking Dalton so much, because he sees it and he's like, oh, you know what? Fuck it.
He gets it.
I'll keep you company, and sits down. It's like,
yeah,
that's a boss motherfucker right there. I like him. I like Dalton.
Yeah.
Drum Island has popped.
It started off really bad, but it's getting so good.
Yeah.
And then we get the lore dump. It's like this country was defeated by pirates. When they showed up, our king just abandoned us, and then we find out the king was Wapol, the pirate they ran into. So
did you have any thoughts on the pirates' names who toppled Wapol? I feel like it would be especially pertinent to you. Bottom right.
The captain called himself Blackbeard. Okay, yeah. Edward Teach. He was harbored out of somewhere very extremely close to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. I'm interested to see like if he's like based on that. That's a good point. I'm interested to see if he's going to go like as Blackbeard, just like, oh, Blackbeard, good pirate name, or is he going to be like, oh, Blackbeard, historical figure. Let me draw on that and use some of that. That would be like, so I'm very interested to see what the deal with that is. But yeah, I mean, besides that's pretty much all I got. It's a great fucking chapter. A lot of knowledge dump shit, but like a lot, like I skipped over a lot of it, but like it was all like super powerful shit, like really strong sense of camaraderie, sense of solidarity. Like seen a lot of that. But that's all I got on that one. B?
So I guess this is a sentiment that I've kind of already expanded on as we've been introduced to Drum Island, but the more I learn about this island, the more I like it. I feel like it's kind of epic in the way that a lot of Nordic things feel. Like it feels...
Okay.
I don't know. I've never visited like Sweden or Norway, but it's giving like big epic feels, and I like it. Also, a hiking bear, please. I need more cute fauna. I've had it in spades so far, and I'm just happy that this is a trend that is seemingly continuing in this. I can't get enough. The 2-page intro image over pages 2 and 3 is just so good. It sells it. It kind of consolidates everything. The ship itself kind of looks like what would be a Nordic ship with the figurehead, with the skull, and the carvings on the side and everything.
Longboat.
The only thing I don't like about it is the notable absence of my husband. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay because Oda makes it up to me by giving me a lovely half page of him at the bottom of page 5.
Good to see them
shortlist and ready for a swim. I'm happy.
You showed me that beat clap. I'm going to show you what else can clap, homeboy.
Anyway, at the top of page 6, we get the broader shot of Bighorn, and I really like it. It feels as if it belongs in a fairy tale with the animals, the cute houses, the weird mountains in the back. It feels very fairy tale-ish, and in a sense, One Piece is a tale in and of itself, but you know what I mean. Like, it feels like it belongs in a fairy tale book. And I don't know if it's like a weird kind of bias, but we see the full body shot of Captain Dalton at page 8. He looks like a knight, and it's like I can't help but trust him. Like, for me, there's no doubt in my mind that he's a good guy. Yeah, he's just giving off these vibes for real, and hopefully it will not be proven wrong. We do find out a little bit more about him as we continue on this volume, but he exudes this good guy vibe, and I'm here for it. I have to say, the snowman thing at page 10 gave us some cute little comic relief as we're tackling a very sensitive subject with Nami. I was going to say mommy. With Nami being so sick.
So sick or so... Wait, did you say so sick or so thick?
No, but I think it's... Oda does that pretty well in that he sandwiches serious moments between comic relief or vice versa. Like, he never fully goes into one or the other. I mean, unless it's really worth it. For example, if I'm thinking about everything that happened with Ben Maya, like, he leaned into that fully, and that was worthy of that type of attention or that type of approach. Sure. But in some of those moments, he does well at kind of balancing things out with a little bit of comedy, or vice versa. If it's too funny, he brings in a little bit of drama, and I can appreciate that as part of storytelling and as part of keeping the story dynamic.
Hey, it's the first time we mentioned it.
I know. It's on a dynamic visual shot this time.
My stuff.
talking about the story this time around, and so we find out that Dr. How would I say her name? Correa. Yes. Dr. Correa is the witch, and apparently she's very old, and she's also Santa Claus, and at this point I kind of love the mystique surrounding her, and I will say that is at this point, because once she is unveiled later on in the volume, I don't want to say that I'm disappointed, but she's
kind of a nasty bitch.
A little taken aback.
I kind of liked it.
We'll get into it when we get there, but at this point I was wondering, what can't this woman do? She's everything. And yeah, so Luffy, I feel like Luffy's being faced with a situation that I don't think he has had to handle before. I feel like his logic is very much a portrayal of his childlike approach to everything and anything he does. And it's kind of adorable here, where he's like, we'll just climb then. Which is, like, he's very focused on getting her better, and I appreciate the fact that is his solution, but at the same time, I don't think he's really understanding that the trek might make her worse.
Right.
I don't think that he's analyzing the situation as a whole. I think he's going for what is the quickest way for me to get her better. And I'm going to do that. But he doesn't think about everything else that is implied behind that solution. And that's very Luffy of him. But the intent is there and the love is there. And they're still going to try for it at Nami's request. The high five at the top of page 16, like Dylan pointed out, made me... I laughed out loud. Like, I had a solid laugh at that. Again, it's sweet, but it's also absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. Like, she's dying. She has
no other options.
No, but, like, we're doing it. That's it. I'm not a proponent of splitting a group up. In horror movies, it doesn't end well. In D&D, it doesn't end well. Just don't do it. Don't split a group up.
I mean, sometimes...
But sometimes they have to, right? And I think that that's the situation that they're in. Sanji, Luffy, and Nami are going up the mountain, and Vivi, Usopp, and presumably Zoro are staying in the village at that point. And yes, this is where we find out that Wapol? Say it again?
Wapol.
Wapol used to be the king of that country until the pirates came along and took the kingdom down. I feel like we've only just been introduced to this environment and this island, but the story behind it is already so rich. I'm impressed. Like and that kind of, it's been echoed a bit earlier when we were saying that it feels lived in, and now it's just that consolidates that even more. Like, it does feel lived in. It does feel like it's an environment that has gone through a lot and that has a very rich history and a culture and everything. And I'm really liking Drum Island so far. So yeah, that's what I have for 133.
So, just quick call out, Hiking Bear. I'm gonna echo you guys on that.
Great.
I'm here for it.
I want a teddy bear of the Hiking Bear, if I'm being honest.
Bro, all the shit
I
we've
also
seen,
wrote-
there's a vast market of plushies that One Piece could put out there.
Right?
For
Like,
real.
Kahu would be the fucking top seller.
Karoo?
Whatever.
He has a different...
Whatever, yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah, just go with it. I'm on age.
I also wrote Dr. Santa. Let's go.
Right? Dr. Santa.
I also pointed out, Luffy, I can make it. Nami, I'm counting on you. High five, fucking dapping up. Let's go. Homies. That's homies to the core. Something you guys didn't mention. Flesh-eating rabbits.
Well, we talk about them, well, we find out more about them later.
Right, but they're at least briefly mentioned here.
Yes.
And then Luffy's like, rabbits? Pff, and then Sanji's like, I'll kick the shit out of them. I don't give a fuck about no rabbits. And, what a mistake. Yeah, I mean, Luffy shouting out, before Nami dies, as if it's like a chant. Just like something fun to shout out.
Before she dies.
He does. It's like, shut the fuck up.
It's like, dude, that's bad luck.
And then my last call out before my summary is just like, Usopp and Vivi is such an interesting pair-up.
Yeah, it is
And
interesting.
I love pair-ups. I've always loved it. In The Office, in Parks and Rec, and that is to say sitcoms. But not only sitcoms, Arya and the Hound. Like, seeing people of different walks of life come together and have to overcome their differences. And not even like from a conflict point of view. Yeah. Like, literally just have a decent time with each other. It's always been so interesting to me. And I think that this chapter does that so well. It's pairing up people. Zoro's alone. He's had a spotlight on him for a while. And we do not see him for pretty much the rest of this chapter.
That's
and
true.
Then, yeah, here my final thoughts are this chapter. Again, it was good. I like it more than I didn't. It's setting the plot up moving forward, and I'm interested in exactly what's going to happen next. It really builds that tension in a way that sometimes One Piece does not build tension well. I love coupling / grouping Sanji and
Try
Luffy.
to ship them.
Like, we know we're going to see more Sanji because he's with Luffy.
Right.
And Usopp and Vivi, what an interesting combo. Nami's knocked out, she's with Sanji and Luffy. And then Zoro is solo.
Solo.
Did you just call him Zolo?
Yeah.
Only because Solo was preceded. No, stop. Leave me alone.
Michael?
Stop.
Don't do
I used to
it.
call him Zolo too. I joke with Dylan.
The
but I
manga
was there
does.
once upon a time.
Because just random things. Like I was like just pulling my tablet up again. The page I'm on is page 7, middle panels, where it's like there's just a giant woman in the town, and like Usopp and fucking Luffy like oh shit, it's the hiking bear, and they bow to her. And it's just like, oh, fucking weirdos. All right, hey, yo, what's going on, Dalton?
I'm just a big person. What's happening?
They make me feel self-conscious about my weight.
Oh, God. Yeah, but 134 is V.
Yes, it is. So the first thing I want to point out about 134 is I am so happy to see Kaya out and about.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
healthy. She's thriving. She's a doctor's apprentice.
And she's got the boys on guard.
Yes, like she's got her whole little army of vegetable themed boys. I'm all over it. I really like that. It's good to see her. It's been a bit, and I was like, oh shit, that's Kaya.
Bro, honestly, Onion's kind of the GOAT.
He is. I hope we see them again in the future. I think they're good. They're good kids, and I feel like they have a lot of potential to grow as not as vegetables, but as human beings.
Because those vegetables is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, yeah, oh god. I didn't mean it that way. No, don't put words in my mouth. And yeah, so just earlier I was saying how rich the story feels, and again we're getting some more of that as we're getting some even deeper lore about Wapol and how his intent may be different from what we had assumed. I guess what we're dealing here is quite complex, especially with regards to politics. And although we have delved into really complex subjects thus far, I don't think that we've really tackled the subject of politics as much as we have now. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it because so far Oda has demonstrated that he can tastefully approach subjects like that, like he did with the whole Benmar story. And I'm just looking forward to it. It's some more world building, but it makes it especially relevant because it matters in the context of the situation that the Straw Hats are in right now. It's not just a concept, it's real and it affects them. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing some more of that. And I also like that at page 4 we're seeing Vivi getting emotional about the state of things. And, you know, we're talking about what makes a good leader, and I feel like honor and duty is something that she can relate to, and I understand why she's so upset at the thought of a king abandoning his kingdom and then coming back to claim it by force. Like, I feel, again, for anyone that has any sense of integrity and any sense of real justice and duty towards their countrymen, that concept would be so foreign and so disgusting. And I feel like that comes across really well in how Vivi kind of handles that situation, or how she reacts, at least. Michael was talking about pairings just now, and I like having Sanji and Luffy interact with one another one-on-one. I think it's refreshing. It's very casual considering the circumstances and the fact that they're being chased by some kind of monstrous rabbit. Clearly they are oblivious to it at this point. But it reminds me a little bit of when we play Dungeons and Dragons and we have like these forced interactions between our characters that our DM likes to do. I feel like oftentimes those quote-unquote forced interactions turn out to be really compelling from a roleplay standpoint.
That's a really good point, yes. Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And that's exactly the kind of
situation.
That's exactly the kind of situation where if this were a D&D campaign, that would be a forced interaction.
Props to our DM for doing that.
Yes,
you should write a manga about our campaign.
Yeah. It would make for a fantastic story. But yes, we have an amazing dungeon master. Just, it's nice to see that pairing, and it's nice to see them interact with each other outside of what they usually do. Like, it's like they can focus more on each other as human beings. Okay. So we're going to have a little bit of a French lesson. So at the top of page 10, Dalton mentions that the big bear rabbit thingies are, and I don't know how you would say that word in English.
I say lapins.
Lapins. Okay. Well, in French, lapin is the French word for rabbit.
Oh, okay. Of course it is.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So they're just rabbits. Lapin. That's how we say that. That's how we would say that. But I guess I will force myself to say lapins, even though it hurts me so much.
We will understand whatever you decide to say.
I might actually just stick with lapin because lapins just feels weird in my mouth. Anyway, but yes, so French. We got a little bit more French here. Okay. I don't know what I expected from the Doctor, but it was not that. I have thoughts, and I don't know that I necessarily want to share them because none of them are really positive. She looks like one of those
She reminds me of my aunt.
One of those ladies that
alive?
that she's she looks like she's 65, but she's actually 40. She smokes too much. She probably has some sort of illegal drug addiction, probably crack. She rides a motorcycle.
Damn, all right. Crackhead with a motorcycle is a dangerous combo.
Like, I will say kudos to Oda for going outside the box when drawing a female character, because we were talking about that a couple of episodes ago.
Oh, this is way outside that box.
This is completely outside
Went from
that
female
box.
to crackhead. Props.
He has 2 modes for women.
Yeah. Femininity and
it's
crackhead.
She looks nothing like what I expected. And again, like I said, I don't know what I expected, but it was not that. But she's also kind of cool, question mark?
Kind of.
I will say Tony Chopper, on the other hand.
Oh, alright, yeah.
I think he's adorable, personally.
It's one of the few things I have some background knowledge on.
Well, I don't have any background knowledge, and I'm just gonna say that Tony Chopper is very cute. He's wearing a hat.
Well, he's got 2 first names.
Just let him be. Some people have a first and middle name. That's basically the same thing, is it not?
Yeah, but it's
just
like,
it just so happens that his first and middle name are the same name.
That's fucked. Like, I understand there's a tradition of, like, naming your child after yourself, but to me, it's like, that's dumb. It's like, oh, my name's George. What are you going to name your firstborn son? George. It's like, you're a piece of shit. You're dumb. I don't like you. You're a fucking idiot.
It's a sign of royalty, Dylan. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and you know the issue with royalty? Inbreeding. Them some dumb inbred motherfuckers. Getting spicy. I'm getting spicy. I'll calm down.
She's an interesting character, and I am looking forward to seeing more of what she has to do and how she develops as a character. But for now, I'm kind of like, really?
So
this is what we're talking about.
Let me put my own notes in here. I do not feel she is framed, as she is put in so far in the story, as a villainous person per se.
Yeah, they call her a witch.
And I have a comment on that, which was my very last comment for this chapter. Is it's still unclear to me whether or not she's a charlatan. But we can all agree. Exactly. We can all agree that she has terrible bedside manners. Now, whether or not,
which the good
whether
doctors
or not
do.
that matters.
House.
No, House was an excellent doctor, 0 bedside manners, and that's
also
what I mean.
Also a drug addict. Which fits?
Which you know, crackhead. Anyway,
she loves some Klonopins, dude. That's all I gotta say.
And that's what I mean is, for now, I don't know whether or not she's the real deal. She has some rough edges to her, and I just wonder if there's anything that's going to smooth them out. But I don't know that yet. And that's all I'm going to say about this chapter. So I'm done with 134.
Dylan?
Yeah, like Dalton's whole thing, like I'm liking Dalton more because he's like bottom of page 5. It's like we want to build a new peaceful nation, and the fact that they're holding elections. It's like, oh, okay, you're trying to, like, become a government of the people for the people, which is an American. Fuck yeah, let's go. Even though that's not how it works, unfortunately. But that's how it was how it's supposed to work.
It's complicated.
It was the intent. Anyways, I love, you talked about the rabbit shit. I love the interaction with the rabbit. Where it's like, it's lunging at him, trying to eat him, and they're just like dodging it for like, I want to say like
V mentioned that they don't know that he's there. I think they're actually very aware.
No, they're super aware. They're dodging. They're actively dodging him every time.
Yeah, they are moving out of its way. Let me just see,
because it seems like in my mind,
at like a certain point, Sanji's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because like they don't acknowledge it, but like you see them like, jumping out of the way, like dodging it left and right. After a point, Sanji is bottom of page 8. It's like, I'm getting tired of this, and he just fucking
and I feel like that's the one moment where there's an acknowledgement, but prior to that, it feels like they're
acknowledgement, but it is subtle.
Yeah.
Because like top of page 8 kind of shows it like hopping around, like they're dodging it easily. Like, all right, well, like whatever. It's trying to fuck you. Leave us alone. It's kind of like a yappy dog or like a chihuahua.
Yeah. A little ankle biter.
Yeah, it's just gonna. It's like, all right, stop. Like, leave me the fuck alone. Stop. It's like, all right, you bit. You drew blood. Fuck you. Punt.
They drew first blood.
Yeah. It's like, I was trying to be reasonable. Get a handle on your dog. Get a handle on your dog. Get a handle on your dog. You didn't get a handle on your dog. It's getting fucking kicked. Sorry. I'm a dog guy. But if you don't keep a handle on your pet and it's biting people's ankles and they get fed up and kick the shit out of it, that's on you. But I love that. The whole fact that they were just like seamlessly just like, ha ha, dodge, dodge, dodge. And then eventually like, all right, this is annoying. Kick. And then you see the fully mature big old rabbits. And it's like, oh, shit. Yeah, the scrappy little shit talking all the shit, throwing blows. And it's like, all right, fuck you, I'm going to deal with you. And then like the older brothers show up and like, what's up, dude? And it's kind of just like, bro, like, come on. That's really, like, you know what this motherfucker does. That's your older brother. He's a piece of shit. He was asking for it. You know he was asking for it. Leave us the fuck alone. I'm like, nah, dude, that's family, dude. But then we kind of see, it seems like Walpole's found the islands, come back to it. And then we get the interaction with, because I'm going to breeze over Dr. Correa, master physician, 139 years old. She gives me very big, like, I'm going to draw to another, like, animated manga shit. She gives me, Full Metal Alchemist vibes. It's not Winry. Winry's his mechanic that works on his arms, his arm and his leg, but her grandmother.
Oh.
Her grandmother is the one who made it for him and all that. And she's kind of just like, no bullshit, no bedside manner. The whole time I was like, yeah, this is going to hurt. Crink. I was very much those vibes. And I like that. I do like that a lot. The line on the bottom of page 15, it's like, are you a doctor? You're not. Okay, cool. Well, I can heal your kid or he could die. Like, this is the price. What's that worth to you? Which is fucked in a sense. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I almost feel like it's not so much like she needs the money. It's more she's checking people's humanity. It's like, what's more important to you?
That's an interesting fucking point. God damn, Dylan.
What's more important to you, your child's life or your business?
Yeah.
And then she's like, all right, well, fuck it. I won't do anything. I'll let him go. It's like, no, fuck it. All right, you get 50% of my profits. And that's what it seems like. And you get people talk a little shit on her, and like Tony Chopper's like, I'm angry. I'm probably going to cry about it soon. Again, I have background knowledge. But that's the way I look at her. It's like, everyone's like, she's a witch. She's super gruff. No bedside manner. But I feel like the reason she is that way is to check people's humanity. It's like, yeah, I can heal them. I could do it for free. But it's like, how do you grow from that? For to just come in and like, I do it for free. Yeah. And it's like, no, you need to be pushed to that brink to understand what the value of human life is. This is your child. What is that worth to you? I don't
know if I agree with it.
I'm going to push you to figure that. It's fucked. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of slimy, but that's the way I look at it. I mean, she's 140 years old. It would make sense for me to be like, no, I need to push you to see how far your level of humanity goes. It's like, this is your child. If you're not willing to fucking give up everything for your child, you don't deserve to have your child. Which is dark as shit. It is very dark, but that's the angle I pulled from it.
I like that angle.
If you're not willing to give up potentially your business to save your child, then what kind of life does your child get out of this? Because you don't care. Now you're proving me that that you care about your child is going to have a good life.
And she gives them a 2% discount.
Yeah. But it's like, I am going to heal your child, but like, I'm going to make you pay through the nose because you need to understand the worth of your child's life. But that's all I got.
All right. So, Wapple's backstory and just the backstory of Drum Island, I think, is really interesting. They're grappling at a difference between having no king and starting new or having a bad king. And it doesn't sound like the answer is obvious because clearly he offered something, you know?
If you just want to believe you, it's not worth having.
What's that?
My thought process is like strife came up and decided to run from the strife.
No, he's not a king. I think I would agree with you, but at least the people are not 100% like, yay, we're in a better place than we were before. It does not seem like everything's good, you know? They are having to pick up the pieces and kind of figure things out. And I think that's another really good dynamic that Drum Island has offered that we haven't seen since at least Arlong. I think there's really good dynamics. The little rabbit was cute and ferocious, but it gets punted. And they're just having casual conversation about nonsense up until that point, Luffy and Sanji, and I think that's an interesting combo there. I really like it. And then the big ones come out. The big uns. And I really love the panel where all the big Lappins show up. And they're like, yo, what you fucking doing with our little man? Also, this is kind of a side, but the One Piece live action is currently in its second season and is working. This is part of the second season. They entertained the idea of Jamie Lee Curtis playing Dr. Correa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I can kind of see it.
She had other obligations. She was like this close, from what I understand.
Like tall and kind of lanky.
Lanky.
Vibes?
She's got the old thing going on.
Yeah, but
She old bitch.
yeah, I get it. I can see it.
Well, it's not Gwyneth Paltrow. I'll be okay.
That would never happen.
I'd be very upset with that.
I noted that she's kind of a piece of shit. It's not just a piece of shit. She's not just drawn as a villain. I think she's done in this short moment that we get to meet her in a very interesting light. Not good, not bad, maybe even more bad than good, but far from true evil.
I mean, I appreciate that nuance, though.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of those characters are written, well, maybe not as many as I would like, but the characters, the important characters anyway, have a lot of nuance to them.
Yeah,
It's just contentious. It's just like contentious, but there's like noble reason. Like the way I look at it, there's a noble reason why she's being so vile.
so I'm kind of rewinding a little bit, but I want to say that Dalton reminds me of like 51% of Dylan's D&D characters. Knight, kind of a man of people.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see more of this.
Did you say 51%? Did you not mean 91%?
No, because like you've had characters who are more roguish.
I played a rogue once or twice.
Yeah.
It's and a good 75.
Right. Okay, we'll call it 70. I'm going to give you that 5% back.
Okay.
But yeah, just to summarize, Drum Kingdom is shaping up real good.
Mm-hmm.
The backstory, the environment, they have a lot going on. And I think that the way that the Straw Hats kind of have entered into this situation, like the situation was already clearly happening. They did not instigate this. They are becoming a part of the world that already existed. I really enjoyed that. It feels natural. I like where things are moving. I don't know how to feel about Correa, to be determined.
I like her.
Yeah, 135 is going to be Dylan.
Yeah, I do like the cover art is hilarious to me. It's like the motherfucker did it. He found Funky Town. Won't you take me to Boom Ba-Dum Funky Town? That song's so good. That's a long fucking song, though. I didn't realize. I listened to it while I was at work. I was like, all right, it's been 6 minutes.
Listen, there's no timeline on being funky, okay?
Yeah, right.
Like,
you can't put a time limit on being funky. It's no longer funky at that point.
Yeah.
Like to imagine, like when they were jamming, when they were recording the song, the rest of the band was like, "Can we stop now? I'm sorry, I thought this was a funk band.
I thought we were being
all out of
funky
funk?
and groovy."
The funk don't stop,
Yeah, exactly.
says the mayor of Funky Town.
Anyway, tangent.
Come back to Dalton and them. Just found out they sent Luffy and them off to go to the mountaintop to get the doctor, and then they're like, "Oh, the doctor's in the town over." I love the fact that like the little shithead brother Rabbit was fucking with him the whole time, and eventually just got slapped away because it's like, "Stop fucking with me, leave me alone." And it comes back with his like 8 older brothers. 2 of them are definite felons. It's like, dude, it's not fair. Like, what the fuck, dude? This is bullshit.
My brother's in JROTC, and he's gonna kick your ass.
Kick your ass, bro. And Sanji kind of assesses the situation pretty smartly. It's like, all right, don't try and fight them. They're made for snow. We're at a huge disadvantage.
His soft spot for women is actually
useful
helpful.
in this case. Yeah,
It's not just weird and
we
creepy.
want more of that, men, gentlemen. Less Discord mods, more.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
More literally anything
Less
else.
Arlongs.
More Sanjis, but in this moment, not
Yes.
just Sanji.
We have plenty of Sanjis, trust me. She just said my name. But he makes the really good point of like, if you mix it up with them, every blow you take and give will be felt by Nami. So don't. And then fucking Luffy, he was just being like, going against his character, be like, all right, I won't fight. And then they dodge. Oh, and then Sanji, okay, it's like, you run, I'll fight him to keep him off our back. And then Flint Shell, what's that, resident French expert? The Flint Shell flare, bottom of page 7?
I don't know that that's a word I'm familiar with.
Could just be like, hey, write some French sounding shit. All right, French shell. There we go.
So when I Google it, the only reference I'm getting is Sanji.
Okay, so this panel.
So the only thing I can think of is, so the word flanc is the word for flank. So like maybe a kick to the flank area.
Okay. Yeah, and it
that's
kind of looks
the only
that way.
thing I can kind of think that it might be related to a French word.
Okay.
So that's it. That's my French analysis for this part. You got it.
You speak French? French dressing?
French, isn't that a type of
I'm
dressing
trying to
for your salad?
I'm trying to compensate.
Well, like after he does that, he kind of even picks up and says, dang, I can't even fight no good because all this snow. And then the synchronized fucking pile drive. I gotta admit, even though it's like the animals are like kind of going through the chase scene, it's like even though these like monsters are like really dopey looking, it's just like putting yourself in that scenario. It's like that'd be fucking terrifying.
They're the size. Each one of them is the size of
like a grizzly bear. Yeah,
yeah.
It's like I don't care how dumb they look. Having them chasing after you out for blood. The snow-covered forest
terrifying.
would be awful.
That's so scary.
And I love the fact that they use them as springboards to get up a cliffside. And then it looks like Wapol has arrived. Which I kind of like his ship design. It's a little wonky, but although
it looks a little steampunky with the gears.
I will say the figurehead I didn't like at first, but now is actually really, really cool because that's very like Roman galleys had that for war. They basically come up. It's basically a giant platform like that they winch up. They ram into a ship and drop it. And that's how the warriors get onto the other ship to kill the other ship.
Yeah, it had like a little nail at the end or something.
It's just basically just a giant hook. They just hook it to the deck. So that's really cool seeing that. And then the top panel of 12 where it's like Walpole and his whole crew is kind of a good shot. I like the art on that one. Kind of does the whole psychopathic leader thing. It's like, oh, you know, I ran away during trouble, but now I'm back. So I'm no longer a pirate. I am a king once again. Ugh. Also at the bottom is kind of fucked too, where it's like, onward, Robson. There, you still upset because I killed your brothers? Well, stop moping. This is a glorious occasion.
You killed that little guy's brother?
No. And then we find out they find the Straw Hat's ship, and he's pissed. And I love how he's like, kill them all. It's like there's no one around. Like, who? And then you got his upper people being, worthless fools upon inspection, we found footprints. Which, it's been snowing this whole time? No, the fuck you didn't. That's not how that works. It's been snowing the entire time they've been here. You didn't find shit.
It never stops snowing. There's never footprints.
Yeah, so they call it No Footprint Island. And then we have one of the local guards come in to let Dalton know that Walpole's back. And then he immediately takes off to go after him. And I love the line. Well, the fact that he's some weird Minotaur man, kind of cool, but also just this is not what I'm after. You and I are guilty of the same sin. Just you wait, Walpole. That was a good way to end that chapter. That was pretty intense.
That was metal.
Yeah, but like the rest of the chapters, just kind of one of those weird ones. Like yeah, it's kind of like it felt like a Tarantino script a little bit, where it's like you're jumping from group to group to group, and kind of covering like a small passage of time across many groups.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a result of the group splitting up, which, like, you know, we were mentioning in the earlier chapters that Michael likes a pairing, and, like, I get that, but you have to be able to pace it well, if that makes sense, because you are jumping from one group or to another, and I feel like, you know, at this point, we're basically one chapter into that split up, and I'm not feeling like it's, like, strained yet, but I understand how it can become...
Yeah, because I mean, they're throwing like a lot of different information over the same span of time, and it's like, I could see where it's like
a lot to keep track of.
Maybe stretch out a little bit and give each group a chapter.
Yeah,
but then that might be too much time. So again, not a writer, but yeah, that was a cool end. I am excited to see what happens in the next chapter.
Again, Dalton.
He's cool.
Even with this bull form.
I love Dalton.
Very, very Dylan coded, or perhaps just Dylan D&D player.
Yeah,
like,
yes, that's true.
Like I could see you having like a knight druid kind of deal that transforms into a bull, and he's all about justice.
Oh yeah, he's so lawful good. He is so lawful good. It hurts
but
me.
I'm guilty of a sin.
Yeah, that's your flaw.
That's my oath. That's redemption.
Oh God.
So Steven, if my character dies, can I be a Minotaur, Minotaur paladin?
Don't ask where that came from. It's One Piece! Yeah, so chapter 135. You were done, Dylan, right?
Yes.
Okay. Chapter 135. Okay, so I have to say something as kind of like... I it's probably not specific to Canada, but I feel that as a Canadian. Mid-page 3, I think, I'm not sure who says that. I think it's Dalton that says it, or whatever. If they say, if only this country had more doctors. And I feel that in my, I feel that in my soul. The benefits of socialized medicine in Canada outweigh the downsides, in my opinion, but the lack of doctors and the wait times, I can absolutely relate to.
Oh, it's taken me like 6 months to get a general healthcare provider.
Also, like Canadians, he says, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Where are all the doctors? I'm sorry. We don't got many.
So only got the one.
Okay, now you're going Irish. But
no,
yeah,
Tom.
I
we
mean,
only got one doctor around here.
But yeah, we won't get into that whole conversation, but
that could be its own podcast.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure there is a podcast about that. I would be shocked if there wasn't.
Right.
So I love the shot of the... I'm going to call them lapin, okay? This is a lapin.
Sure. Oh, the LA Pines?
the
new
LA
Pines. For LA.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of all the pine trees. You know, the endemic pine trees of LA.
And the ice.
Yeah. Well, they do have a good hockey team, or had.
So... yeah, I like the shot of the lapin at page 4. He's like, I can almost see him moving, like leaping into the air and then diving in the snow to attack Sanji and Luffy. I know they're meant to be menacing, but I still think that they're very, very cute. And it's like the way that it's drawn, I can almost see the motion of him like doing the dive. I don't know. I thought that was pretty.
They're not menacing though. Like I agree, they are cute, but there is part of me that at least feels the
slightly threatened.
Those dead eyes.
Yeah.
It is. If they had cute little eyes, you wouldn't feel threatened. Maybe even the teeth are kind of cute.
Those
it's the
paws,
eyes. Those are
like
big paws
on the top of 7.
Yeah.
That motherfucking paw right there.
Yeah,
that could probably knock a truck over.
That's a bear paw, not the delicious pastries. That's a bear claw.
Bear claw.
Anyway. Those are delicious. Pop them in the microwave for like 3 seconds. And they get just a little warm. No, what?
We don't need your recipes.
Listen, everyone needs to know how to eat a bear claw. Microwave it.
Listen, microwave.
Oh, that's like with Krispy Kreme after it's old, just throw it in the microwave for a couple seconds and it's
and then it gets all moist again.
Yeah.
V, hit him with your instant ramen recipe. Okay, so I add water.
And then I put it in for like 5 minutes. It's crazy. I don't even stir that shit. I don't play by the rules.
It's kind of funny, listeners, if you're actually still listening, if Michael hasn't cut this out in the edit, it's kind of funny because my thing is noodles. Yeah, okay, Sanji coming in with the common sense of maybe don't fight enemies with Nami on your back at page 6. And I know that, like, I'm betting that it's taking him everything he has in his body to resist just, like, kicking their ass. But he's like, I can't do it. If we fight, she's gonna feel everything. And, yeah, and sure enough, at page 7, he's asking, but what am I supposed to do? At least Sanji's here to kick in, so to speak, step in or kick in. I did not know that I needed a woolly hippo in my life.
Hippos are ferocious.
They remind me of Bantha from Star Wars.
A little, yeah.
A lot.
And their poodoo?
True, yeah.
Right, yeah, and the poodoo. I'm thinking of the right critter, right, Dylan?
Yeah, the big woolly thing they ride around on. I'm pretty sure that's a bantha.
Yeah.
I like tauntauns.
I just love, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I love the fauna, I love the creatures in One Piece, and now I just can't go without him. Also, Robson White Walkie? What a great fucking name. What an amazing name. It's such a good name, Robson White Walkie. It feels very appropriate for what he is and does.
Would you give him scritches?
No, I just
why is that
his
even
brother.
a question? I would give him all the scritches and all the treats and all the praise and tell him he's a good boy. And yeah, I don't know that Wapol deserves such a superb mount, if I'm being honest. And yeah, it seems like there's some resentment from Robson's part about what Wapol did to his brothers. But he's still so cute about it. Look at his face when he does his little nod. I don't know. I love him. I adore him.
The creatures are coming in hot and fast, and they haven't missed.
I'm every single creature design has landed for me. I'm here for it. Yeah, and now on page 15 is where we're officially introduced to Chess, who we saw standing in the middle of the ocean earlier, and Kuromari Mo, and who are respectively the former chief of staff and the magistrate of the Drum Kingdom. Again, we have these nice full-body introduction panels, always a highlight for me. I like being able to get, like, a snapshot of the character design.
Well, name tag, name badge.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I feel like that's a good way to establish them as now they're part of the story, right? Instead of being a character kind of in passing.
Yep. That's a great point. It is, like, always kind of specific when that type of panel happens.
Right.
And also seeing them, I'm kind of interested to see them in a fight now.
One's the magistrate. I'm pretty sure you, like, get permits from a magistrate. I could be completely wrong with local government. I avoid the county.
That's fair.
But, like, you go in for a permit and he just, like, socks you with one of his, what looks like boxing
boxing mittens.
But yeah, they look like actual mittens because they look soft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a little pom-poms. I love it. So Dalton, Usopp, and Vivi just made it to Cocoa Seed over pages 16 and 17, and yeah, they don't only find out that Dr. Korea has left the village, but Wapol is back, and I kind of like all the different elements that are kind of colliding, and you can tell that we're setting up the scene for a lot of upcoming action. So my first reaction at the last page with what happens to Dalton, at first I was focused on the dialogue and I was wondering about his backstory because of it, like how he says that he's, they're both guilty of the same sin, blah, blah, blah. And then I sort of understood that it's like I didn't realize that he was transforming into a buffalo until I read it like twice. Or a bull or whatever, and I was like, I was so confused.
The transformation's so cool. Like, he has armor and little head crest.
Yeah, and the way that, like, his face kind of morphs, you can see, like, it's giving, like, the Animorphs. Do you guys remember?
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you would get it, so I was like, maybe I'll just ask Dylan.
Oh, yeah, I read a lot of those Animorph books, and then you could, like, do the little corner of the page, and then, anyway.
Yeah, they were kind of nightmare fuel a little bit.
They were. I love them.
The intermediate transition.
Yeah, they're terrifying. Anyway, so yes, this is giving Animorphs for sure.
If for some reason the guy who did the art of those covers is listening to this podcast, we'd love to interview you.
Yes,
what
please.
the fuck you were thinking?
Yeah,
were you on acid?
Yeah.
B, can you share? Anyway, and then I just want to point out real quick in the SBS, the adorable drawing of little Luffy as a pirate king.
I love that.
In the Usopp Pirate Gallery. He's so cute. He's so cute with that little crown on his head. Like, I want to die. And the little cape and everything. He's adorable. But yeah, that's what I had for 135. Also, exciting. It's setting up big action.
The name of that village, Cocoa Weed? Where can I get some? That sounds delightful. Listen,
we might be running low on doctors in Canada, but you know what we do have? Legal cannabis.
Next best thing.
Yeah, basically.
Who needs a doctor when I self-diagnose?
So, 135. Love the wildlife. We've touched on that to ad nauseum, perhaps. I really liked the way, again, tension is set up during Sanji and Luffy's trek up the mountain. By handicapping Luffy, it really makes the situation more interesting, even more dangerous. They already got Nami dying on their hands, and now, yeah. It also gives Sanji some room to breathe in this and to show off what he can do. Seeing Luffy try so hard not to fight is, again, it's him going against his basic nature, right, which we saw at the beginning of Drum Kingdom, when they were bowing and, like, trying to get on the island. So I thought this has been really interesting, Luffy content. Wapol's crew is probably the goofiest since the Black Cats. Like, Chess and Kuro Marimo definitely give me Meowbin brothers. maybe that's just me. Goofy. And then Dalton turning into the bull. Super cool series of panels. Just increases my like of the character Dalton. I'm on board with him 100%. And again, I noted that this is definitely a Dylan character in D&D. So I really enjoyed this Luffy, Sanji, Nami combo. I like the Usopp, Vivi, Dalton. I don't really care that much about Wapol. He's not inspiring a ton of, like, distaste. I mean, I didn't like that he killed that sweet little guy's brother. I don't know. He just hasn't inspired a lot of feeling in me. But everything else is done so well. I mean, I don't hate him. He feels, there. But yeah, that was 135. And V will finish things off with 136.
I am finishing it off. Again, I think I've just been thirsty lately, is really the thing I say as I sip on the scotch and this Coke Zero. Not together. 2 separate drinks. Some cute marine guy is looking for Django, and listen...
He's interviewing a babe.
They both look good. I'm interested in finding out more about where Django is going to end up, but I'm also, needing to get to know this marine guy and the lady that he's talking to, if I'm being honest. Can I just date everyone? Okay, thanks.
Can try.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
They're going to find out.
They are. So from the context clues on page 2, it ends up being confirmed at the end of this chapter, but at the time my notes wrote, from the context clues on page 2, I think the Lapins are bouncing to create an avalanche. And I was saying, if so, that's very clever of them, and honestly, just the sight of them bouncing around belongs on a mural. Like, that first shot, like that very first panel at the top of page 2, could be like a background for a computer. Like, it's
I can also
so
see
cute
it,
just seeing them bouncing.
As like a One Piece card, you know how they have like the holographics where you shift them, it shows movement? That'd be great for One Piece cards.
It would. That's true. But yeah, for some reason, that panel really, really caught my eye. Like, they're big snow rabbits. Please. They're perfect. And then I was kind of thinking, and like maybe that's just the nerd in me, and it's funny, I say like the nerd in me as if our audience aren't nerds, and as if the people that I'm doing this podcast with aren't nerds.
Well, the target audience is finance bros and CrossFit.
Who's got a lot of money and doesn't have the sense to use it responsibly? That's my target.
Please sponsor us. No,
By Dylan and DS.
A PSP. Anyway, so I was just kind of thinking that I feel like the setup of this battle is giving the Battle of Helm's Deep. I know it's the second time in this episode that I'm doing like a comparison between One Piece and Lord of the Rings, but it's
Dylan goes and grabs his replica of Helm's Deep.
Yeah, he still has the statue. But yeah, I don't know, just the setup felt very, like, solemn, and we're getting ready for a battle, and this is important, and it's meaningful, and I was like, okay, take me back to Helm's Deep.
Oh, and they're standing in the rain waiting? That's fucking intense.
Yeah, that moment. It feels important, is what I'm saying. Yeah, meanwhile, at that point, I didn't have very high hopes for Vivi and Usopp making their way to where they needed to be. And again, kind of talking about the splitting of the groups and trying to tell both stories at the same time. I also feel like I would have rather had like one chapter dedicated to one group and another chapter dedicated to the other. Again, I know maybe it's trying to express the fact that these things are happening in tandem, but I don't know. It's hard to keep track of. I did like the shot of Wapol atop Robson in the large bottom panel of page 5. It's like it's meant to be epic, but in actuality it's a little bit silly, especially considering that Wapol. So many pronunciations of the letter A, Wapol. Especially considering that what Wapol says about preferring his houses cooked and well done. Like, it's ridiculous. The guy's standing on a woolly hippo and he's talking about eating houses.
And if houses are like steak and
burning
you're eating them
burning houses and eating them. Yeah. It's also like a little bit of a psychopath thing to say. Like, I'm gonna burn your houses down and I'm gonna eat them.
Yeah, hear me, my people, everything in this country is my candy. You sound like a psychopathic toddler. You're like, boo, for Christ's sake.
It's terrifying. Yeah, I also did want to point out in terms of like, artistic choices. I love Dalton as a character, but the shot of him at the bottom of page 8 kind of threw me. Like, what's wrong with his arms? Like, I know that he's a broad dude, and I like a broad dude, but the way I don't know, just the way his body is shaped is really off-putting to me at the bottom of page 8. It was a little strange.
Might have something to do with his armor.
Maybe, but like it also looks like it's like both rigid and limp all at the same time. It's like too curved.
I look at that as like if he is like a were-bull, it's like some of those bull characteristics kind of play out to where it's like super massive broad chest but kind of thin leggies.
Yeah. I don't know. That's for some reason that shot just kind of threw me out. Like his anatomy isn't correct. Anyway, it's fine. Artistic choices. We respect them. So, we're learning that Wapol left his country behind, took basically all the doctors with him, and, like, to me, and if that's not the case, that should count as a crime against humanity. Like, in actuality, for someone to just take away all the doctors, that's like tyranny. It's worse than tyranny, really, if you think about it. And the bottom of page 11 kind of sums it up pretty well when Wapol is saying, he says, I think, couldn't be helped, that's politics. Like, that's disgusting, you know? And then Dalton...
like, no, that's bad governance.
Exactly. Dalton then retorts with, that's bad governance, and like, finally, Dalton says it outright at the top of page 12, stating that it's a crime to hoard the medical resources of a country. And I guess that's what I'm wondering, like, is this considered to be a crime against humanity? If someone were to do that reasonably here, would we consider, like, in the real world, because I'm sorry
absolutely.
to say One Piece isn't real, I'm sorry, guys. But, like, would that be considered to be a crime? Would that be considered to be a crime against humanity? I would think so, right?
I would say yes.
Okay. And yeah, so we kind of find out that Dalton has the powers of the ox fruit, and that explains what we saw at the end of the last chapter, the transformation. Again, maybe that's why his arms look so weird to me, as Michael pointed out. Or was it Michael or Dylan? I can't remember. It's been exactly 2 minutes and I can't remember. Yeah. That it's like this residual oxen traits, so to speak, that might be showing up in this.
Yeah, because like in like a lot of stuff, like the whatever you're aware of, some of their traits. Like if you're a were-rat, you probably got like spindly fucking front teeth and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, the volume ends with a couple of interesting cliffhangers. We see even more of Dalton's value as a man as he stands in front of the villagers to defend them, taking arrows to the chest. I'm looking at you, Boromir, again. You know, Lord of the Rings references. And then, yeah, sure enough, my suspicions earlier were proven true, and we do have a huge avalanche that is descending on the village. And I have to say, like, big kudos to... we get a lovely scenic shot at the very end of the chapter. The mountain with the billowing snow that's tumbling down, and the big onomatopoeia to wrap up the volume in like a perfect bow. Like, it was a really good way to finish the volume. This was a good finish to something that was really well paced thus far. Like, to me, that is probably one of the best paced volumes that we've read so far. But yeah, that's about what I have for 136. Dylan?
Yeah. I did kind of key in on like the rabbits jumping up and down, have an idea of what that was, and then you can see that Sanji's kind of like puts it together really quick. He's like, wait, no, they can't be. And it's so serious he drops his cigarette. It's like, uh-oh. When a man who smokes like Sanji does puts down a cigarette, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I kind of also like seeing like all the villagers of the kingdom are like, oh, like the tyrannical king's coming back. No, we need to stand up and fight for our freedom. I was like, all right, hell yeah, they might take our land, but they'll never take our freedom. Let's go. Like to the end, it's kind of like with the whole surgical squad patching them back together. It kind of makes me think, it's like, what is that part of the power of the munch fruit, or like they're so medically advanced that, like, as long as you don't die outright, they can like Anakin Skywalker you to Darth Vader like every single time.
I think it's the second. I don't have anything to back it up, but I think it's the second.
Yeah, because it's like,
I think munch fruit's quite straightforward.
Yeah. It's like, it lets you eat anything, but I see these guys like all these... And if that's the case, if that is true, they're able to heal you up like that easily and that quickly, why didn't you stay and fight for your kingdom?
I would have attacked the doctors. Maybe that's a bad decision.
I don't know. I mean...
like, if you're fighting a boss in a video game and he has something like that going on, you take them
guys
out first.
Get the healers and then focus on the DPS.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to learn that Dalton was the former commander of the army, but then, like, you kind of see that it's
Dylan likes a military man.
Dalton's kind of got, like, a Pikachu's agility, like, thing, when it's just, like, he starts moving so fast that he can't be hit. You know, double team, that's the move in the Pokemon anime.
Yep, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I could not remember the name of the move either.
Hits him with the fiddle bam and just walks out. Just drops, like, a whole battalion of dudes. And that's where you see the reveal. It's the devil fruit of the Zoan family. That makes me curious. It's like, do they have like an orchard that has a devil tree fruit tree or like a devil fruit tree in it? And then it's like, that's part of their rite of passage is when they become a man, they eat the fruit. Or whenever they become patriarch of the family, they eat a fruit. Thus, to like, I don't know. That could be cool. And of course, War Crimes Chess over here starts targeting civilians because, it'll get in the way. And that's a very Boromir shot with the 3 arrows. And like, even the stance of it kind of is like, I feel like it's how Boromir actually went down in the movie. I think that's how he went down in the movie. He was on the knee in 1 foot and then took the last arrow, keeled over. And then the last shot of just like, Sanji being like, we gotta go. It's an avalanche. We gotta get out of here. And then you see just them, the 2 specks with just the whole mountainside coming down on them.
Specks, yeah.
And it's like, bro, you're like, get into a tree line and hope for the fucking best. That's about all you got. Because it's, besides trees, you don't got anything like rocks or anything you can hide behind. Be interesting to see how they get out of this pickle. All right, that's all I got. Michael?
Yeah. So at first, I also had an inkling of what was about to go down with the avalanche, and I'm glad we all picked up on it.
We're all mountaineers here.
I don't think it was particularly like hidden or anything, but it set up the tension well. I've said that a lot, but I stand by it. And contrary to V, I'm going to disagree with V here. Sorry, V. But I like the pacing. I like the bouncing around. It makes it all feel simultaneous. It keeps all the stakes where they need to be for everyone. You're not losing anything here. And I especially like the way it's done within the first couple pages, because it is bouncing around every page pretty much. And I felt that dynamism.
Dynamic.
And yeah, I just liked it. 10 to 11, pages 10 to 11. Let me scroll over to it. Was a lot of yapping. Yapping is necessary, but I just was not like super invested in what they're saying. I kind of already had an idea of the dynamics at play here, and then the fighting was good. It was real good. I really liked the double, would you call it the double team attack, like Pokemon-esque image of Dalton on page 13. It shows movement really well and speed, and he looks badass there. Very badass art. And then I would also agree, I love him stomping down and just like AoEing an area of effect, for those of you who don't play video games. And then another good panel when he's taken 3 huge arrows right through the chest.
That was a good shot.
The blood there is subtle. You can see it kind of pouring down on the white parts, but his outfit is so dark that you don't see it anywhere else. And I think it's like if you don't notice it, you miss, the damage. But yeah, I thought that the fight was really well drawn. And then the avalanche was also well drawn. Again, I kind of saw a lot of this coming, but I wouldn't say it took away from it. I thought everything that did happen was well done. It was well drawn. It was interesting, and it was a good way to continue. I didn't feel let down. It kept the tension up, and yeah, it was just had good hooks and left me wanting more. That will wrap up our discussion of the chapters, our chapter breakdown. We're going to go ahead and move on to our thoughts on the volume as a whole. As is tradition, I will go ahead and start things off, and then we'll be Dylan and then V. So, we've said it before. I'm going to repeat myself as a wrap-up should. The volume started relatively slow. Special nod to Sanji and Mr. Zero phone call. That was the highlight for me of the beginning of the chapter. But Drum Kingdom shaped up very good. I do not remember enjoying Drum Kingdom as much as I have. I really don't. There's a lot to like. It's not perfect, but if I was to pick out any negatives, I would just be nitpicking. Again, I don't think Wapple's an amazing villain, but I think he's fine. He's certainly far from the worst. He's better than Mr. 3, in my opinion. Yeah, great return to form for Sanji. Zoro's taken a bit of a backseat. He's had a lot of time to shine. And yeah, this volume just gradually got better as everything kind of built, and really, really enjoyed this volume. Dylan?
Yeah, it's building a lot. This volume definitely seemed like it's building to the conflict of the Drum Kingdom. So I assume next volume is going to be pretty action-packed, where a lot of this was more like explanation of the doctor situation, explanation of the politics and what happened in the land and all that jazz. But I liked it. Oh, and I just realized he's wearing the pelt of the bull's brother, or the woolly mammoth's brother.
Oh, is he?
Because
very well be it.
If you see in the panel top of 10, you can see that it's the feet of one of those creatures. So he's definitely wearing the
Yep. Bottom of 11. You can see the head.
Yeah. So not only did he murder that thing's brother, he's wearing its skin. So that's a little fucked up.
While riding him. Oh my god.
That's vile.
But yeah, I liked it. Like I said, a little slower. There wasn't a lot of action in it. It's more just, I don't know. It's not a lot of action, but still like a hanging background of like there's dire consequences if we don't move. So there's still a good bit of tension, but not a lot of action. But I liked it. It was an enjoyable read. B?
Yeah, I feel like I'm always a little bit, I don't want to say scared, but I'm always a little bit apprehensive about how Oda is going to approach moving from one element or one setting to another. And to me, this was probably one of the finer examples of how to do it well. I think it finished, despite everything I might think about the cop-out death for, which of the giants was it?
Dory, I think?
Dory?
Wow.
Wait, yes, Dory. You know, regardless of my thoughts on his cop-out death and him, you know, not actually being
weak
dead.
ass explanation for it. Oh, the weapons were dull.
Yeah. Despite that, I think Oda did a good job at wrapping up whatever was happening on Little Garden and introducing this new snowy land for us. Again, as I've mentioned, to me, this also was a volume with great pacing. I felt like every chapter was meaningful also. I don't feel like there was any sort of filler happening, which I appreciate. Yeah, I just really liked it. It also raises the stakes. You know, where it's like, so far, a lot of the threat that was imposed upon the Straw Hats was external, but now we have something coming from inside the house with Nami being sick.
I like that.
Like, it's a different kind of situation that they have to deal with, and I have been interested in watching them handle it now, and I'm interested in watching it being handled in the next volume also. It's been super heartwarming to see Nami and Vivi's relationship grow and blossom. It's been super wholesome to see everyone, you know, keeping an eye on Nami and caring about her, and yeah, just a lot of good moments, a lot of heartfelt and human moments. And then also, as I was saying in one of the earlier chapters, I feel like we're being introduced to more of the politics of the world that we're, you know, living in, or that the Straw Hats are living in. There's a certain depth to it and a certain kind of relatability that is, it doesn't quite feel as much fantasy as it has been so far. It feels a little bit more real. And I like that. I like that a lot. But at the same time, we have some really cute character design. The creature design with Robson White Walker and and the Lepe and all of that. Like, no, it's
and Karoo.
And Karoo, always Karoo. My boy Karoo. But yeah, I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with this volume. I read it really fast with a lot of enthusiasm. I was excited for us to record it. Like, it really captivated me this time around. And it maybe wasn't as big in emotions as other chapters or volumes that we've seen so far, like the whole Metamaya thing. But it was still very meaningful, and it drove the story forward really well. And that's it. That's what I have.
All right. Well, that wraps up our discussion here. Before I put a little close on this, I do want to turn your attention to my screen share.
Oh, God.
I have the cover for Volume 16 here, and just quick thoughts on what you got. It's called Carrying on His Will.
So the one thing I will say is I have seen the critter with the hat and the antlers. I do not know what it is. I do not know its name. I know nothing about that.
We've seen him already.
As someone who has been at an anime convention this spring, I saw a lot of that. So, to me...
Did you know it was One Piece?
I think I had briefly seen... I had associated One Piece with this, but I don't know anything about it outside of that.
I have a predisposed hatred of this character.
So... yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out more, because just solely because of the amount of representation of that character that I have seen, even not knowing what or who this is, I already know that they're going to be relevant or important or, yeah, So
Because it's a lot of
I
people's
don't know.
favorites.
Any thoughts on what relevance or importance it may have? Just even a shot in the dark. If not, that's fine. You don't.
It
have
feels
to.
like they're gonna stick around, but I don't know in what capacity.
I'm not going to say anything.
That's all I can tell you.
Dylan, any thoughts on this cover?
I'm going to go ahead and get a guess. The guy in the background is Walpole's father. Because I have a feeling, based on how Dalton's acting and everything, I'm assuming Walpole's father was a good leader. But it's once he passed and Walpole became the king, stuff went to shit. That's my guess.
All right. So I'll give you guys the floor real quick for any last words you want to get in here before I wrap things up.
No,
Okay.
I'm excited. I feel like I keep saying this at the end of every volume, but like I'm excited to find out more.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm glad you are excited. That excitement, keeps this thing alive. And I am excited too, as someone who's already read through the whole series and is deep in it. You guys' excitement gets me excited. So, with that, I'll go ahead and bring our discussion of Volume 15 to a close, and I'll lift the embargo on Volume 16. Read it at your leisure. Thank you both for hanging out, for participating, and just for being
Thank you, Michael.
awesome co-hosts. Couldn't do it without you.
We'd be here without you.
Oh, shucks. But, yes, definitely check us out on Twitter, on Instagram, on Discord, wherever you want to check us out. Check us out. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. So, with that, I just want to thank our listeners who are still listening. Thank you for listening. And as for now, bon voyage.
Bon voyage.
Ciao, Bella.